Namaste, everyone. Welcome to the Cārvāka podcast. This is your host, Kushal Mehra. So, can I? I, I, mean, I saw this meme on the internet, and can I just start by appreciating the Aussies? This meme summarizes the Aussie team perfectly.
Hmm.
Parampara, Pratishtha, Anushasana. What a brilliant explanation of the Aussie team.
I
Basically, for
have
the audio listeners,
uh,
because I know the audio listeners can't really see. So there is a photo of some random Amitabh Bachchan movie, and that random Amitabh Bachchan movie had
Mohabate.
Mohabbatein. I don't know, guys. I don't watch Indian cinema all that much, and the photo has basically morphed Steve Waugh, Ricky Ponting, and Pat Cummins, and they have said Parampara, Pratishtha, Anushasan. And I think that sums up the Australian cricketing culture. What a brilliant meme. I was so impressed by this meme. I was like, can I just start the podcast today with Nikhil and Aadit by appreciating the absolute freaking genius of the Australian team? So, for those who don't know, and for those who don't want to hear, India has been destroyed by Australia in the 2023 Men's World Cricket Final. Australia has been dominant, and it was an, I would not say as an Indian fan it was a treat to watch, but it was a treat to watch if you're a cricket fan. The genius of the Aussies was amazing. And to discuss that, I have with me Aadit Kapadia and Nikhil Mehra. Welcome, boys.
Hello. Great to be here. Uh,
Thanks for having
and
me.
unlike last time, I'm not hiding in a staircase. So this is a much more improved situation than when I joined you the last time. But what
Yeah.
a game! What a game, yeah. मतलब ये बंदों की we'll talk about everything in the final, but just a quick reaction, something to appreciate about Australia. I think Nikhil alluded to that in that last podcast that you all did. It's or something that it's or he talked about it. It's something about the sporting pedigree of that nation. 25.5 million. I live in Houston right now.
You just have to
City
bow
of
down. That's all you
सिटी ऑफ
do.
4.8 to 5 million. मैं लोगों को बोल रहा था this entire damn country is more than just little bit more than 5 times the population of Houston, 25 to 26 million. And my god, the way they were doing. And I mean, kudos to the Aussies, they read the pitch well. Pat Cummins did that, and we'll talk about the pitch because believe me, I have plenty to talk about that. um, they read the pitch well, they read the conditions well, bowled well, took wickets at the crucial times, and basically, they were ready for the final, and we weren't in the same way.
Yeah,
And
it was just breathtaking. I Nikhil was so on. मैंने इसके लिए उसकी short बना के भी डाली. Nikhil, you called them bastards, and you were proven right. These bastards beat us again. What a team! What a team!
I the way I sort of phrased it is I in big matches, whether it is test matches, ODI cricket, whatever format, from around the mid, so after the 91 World Cup, where they were truly where they got hijacked. Australia was supposed to be the favorites at home, and they got hijacked. They got properly dealt with in that first game onwards when Crowe beat them. Martin Crowe made 100, and New Zealand beat them
Auckland.
I think it was Auckland,
Auckland.
the first game.
Yeah, in Auckland.
After that particular tournament, I do not recall Australia making mental errors, right? Like, not decision. That's one thing to say that they don't make errors. This is another level altogether. The call at the toss, nobody thought this was the smartest call possible. It was an incredible call to field first. I mean, just brilliant. Others have fielded first at Ahmedabad. India fielded first against Pakistan. I don't doubt that for a moment, etc. But Pakistan actually was batting quite well until that collapse happened. And they were batting quite quickly as well at that time until that collapse happened. In fact, their opening partnership had been a very comfortable opening partnership in that match against us for a long time as well, right? But these guys felt like they won the toss, chose to bowl, And then you have to weather the Rohit storm. Rohit was again brilliant, and it felt like things were falling into place. But they kept pitching it into sort of half deckers and cutters, and just kept you a little bit tighter. They don't come with one grand plan. It's not described in one sentence. This was the plan. They just keep doing cunning stuff all the time in a match, man. They just keep coming at you that way. This is why they win. They are just they get the you look at Australian bowlers through history, right? You talk about magician bowlers. There are very few magician Australian bowlers. Maybe Warne's the only one, but they are all relentless, efficient bowlers who will from time to time produce movement. Dennis Lilly is not renowned for some great movement, but he is considered one of the greatest fast bowlers ever because the fundamentals of fast bowling he will never get wrong. Glenn McGrath was not the greatest mover of the ball ever, but my God, when you need a wicket, Glenn McGrath will get you a wicket, right? Wasim was a magician. Waqar was a magician. Donald at times could be a magician. These guys won't. Curtly Ambrose in particular could at times be a magician. Stain could be a magician with the amount he moves the ball. Anderson could. Australian fast bowlers, you rarely get that. But if they put out a bowling lineup, don't you worry. It's the best bowling lineup you can find for that kind of bowling. Because they just keep getting the basics right. This is not about, they simplified cricket quite a bit yesterday, and if we can't see that, the problem is us.
So, Kushal, one thing before you get in, just to add something. I was reminded of the podcast we did when we said Pat Cummins and baseball, right? when we were joking about how India was beaten by Pat Cummins. He was bowling brilliantly. If you look at that spell, 5 overs for 16 runs and picked up the wicket. Which wickets does he pick up? Virat Kohli, the biggest wicket in the final, right? And who picks up Rohit Sharma? See, people talk about bowling, what Nikhil talked about, right? Who picks up Glenn Maxwell? Glenn Maxwell, he is brought in the first 10 overs, knowing fully well that Rohit Sharma is going to go after him. He gives up a 6, gives up a 4. Rohit still goes after that shot, and then Travis Head picks up an absolute blinder of a catch, right? So there are two standout things. One is the Aussie fielding. Where did you guys see David Warner? At 37, he was patrolling the boundary like he was a soldier on a border, man. He must have saved 6 to 7 boundaries just by himself. And they were easy. I mean, with any other team, probably apart from England or South Africa, it was 4s. And David Warner was kept saving them.
Can I put a statistic to what Aadit just said? In all of the league phase, Australian fielding saved 55 runs. In the 2 knockout games, they saved 38 runs.
Just a god level team.
So 9 games, 55 runs. 2 games, 38 runs. That's called stepping up.
Yeah, and ये तो मैंने ऐसे ही गिना था 5 or 6, but think about it, yaar. If 30 runs here or there, that's the difference.
I have a hilarious question. Aadit, I have a hilarious question for you. How many games had Pat Cummins captained Australia in ODIs before the start of this World Cup?
Oh, I have not seen the statistic, but I guarantee you it's less than 25.
It's less than 5.
Oh, wow. Okay, there you go. Wow.
It doesn't matter. Their thinking across the system is so good. We keep talking about Rahul Dravid, and people like to rain on Rahul Dravid because he's lost a lot of these. The opposite is that bugger, Andrew McDonald. Since he's come on, they won a T20 World Cup. They've retained the Ashes. They won a WTC. And they've gone and won the 50-over World Cup.
And
they were one mad sweeping session in Delhi away from doing us also in the Border Gavaskar Trophy, by the way.
Yes, absolutely. The 2 innings were actually, they were leading by 1 run in India and Australia. Had they not lost those wickets to spin, Australia could have set us quite a interesting total in Delhi.
They went out. So let me correct them. I say I've never seen them make mental errors. That's a morning of mental errors. They just kept sweeping the ball, and they kept getting out of the sweep.
Right, but Andrew McDonald, when he was made the coach of the Australian team, people were bashing them. Like Justin Langer, the entire Australian ex-cricketer cabal came out in support of their mate Justin Langer. But guess what? They
Yeah.
stuck to that, and look where that
Yeah.
has yielded. How that has yielded results. But back to the
Yeah.
final.
So
We'll get into the
in
tangents. Yeah.
Australian cricket is very that the movement to Cummins and McDonald has represented a move away from sort of the hard Australian old boys club. Like Langer was still sort of the border war ponting hard Australian club. You will sledge,
Hmm.
you will, and all of that. Like this is not a minor thing. What happened in Newlands really
Yeah.
deeply was absorbed as a lesson by them. And I'm telling you right now,
Hmm.
I don't think if the ICC hadn't mandated, take our best batsman and ban him for a year, in a year in which we have to play home series against our biggest opponents. We won't do that. We don't have that moral clarity. They did, right? So
Hmm.
Steve Smith and Cameron Bancroft could not play the tour against India when India went to tour the first time that we won over there,
Neither
right?
did David Warner,
So they
and
and
I think David Warner at that
Warner.
time was.
That's take your top two batsmen out, right? And that's when they made the shift. And so Cummins is actually, I mean, Kushal and I are talking about it. He's sort of derided in Australian popular circles as being a woke captain because he speaks
Hmm.
about climate change quite a bit, for example.
Hmm.
And this is a captain who was considered too soft, who had a huge amount of criticism on it, and he came away from the India tour after those first two test matches because his grandfather passed away, right? Or was on a deathbed, and he nursed him to, like, his grandfather passed away quite shortly after that. And Steve
Yeah.
Smith took over the captaincy for the ODI series and was quite brilliant as a captain in that ODI series, right? So he had a lot of like the imagination was this guy. He doesn't really understand the game. He's more of a happy-go-lucky captain, uh, and he doesn't help himself. He often says stuff like, "I've never been able to read a pitch in my life." Like he says stuff like that, right? But in terms of a brain's trust, you just can't compete with their brain's trust. They've in every single position that they've been put over the last year, they have at least had just enough. Yesterday was a time when they had, much more than enough to get across the line.
Yep. Now let us talk about the performance of Team India. First of all, team selection. Was the team selection, considering the conditions, right? I mean, hindsight, I think it's unfair, this question that I'm asking, but I'm still asking it. So, Adit.
I mean, it wasn't. मैंने तो पहले I actually set out a poll on Twitter. I actually believed that if they did the slow wicket in Ahmedabad, which it did happen, we should probably take Ashwin over Siraj because it was going to bolster our batting lineup. And if the wicket was slow, then Siraj was essentially going to be a non-factor on that wicket. So might as well at least give it a shot with Ashwin and see what happens. You only played Ashwin in one match this World Cup. That was against Australia. We talk about big match player. Ashwin is your big match player. Might as well, throw a gamble. But somehow India hates taking that last minute gamble because we have this insane sort of thing, balance ko nahi bigadna. In 2003 World Cup final, because we're talking about the last World Cup final we played Australia, Ian Chappell actually wrote a column saying India should not only play Anil Kumble, they should open the bowling with him because he's the only person who has troubled Adam Gilchrist. And the South Africans gave a wonderful track that spun from ball one to us in Wanderers. Ganguly went with three fast bowlers and ended Sehwag, Sachin, and other part-timers had to end up bowling 20 overs because the ball was spinning. So this is again similar. A lot of similar questions were asked that if you are playing a slow and low wicket, why is your best spinner sitting on the sidelines? Now, whether he would be a factor with the dew or not, that remains to be seen. But the dew did not come in till like 7 or 8 o'clock, right? Was it a worthwhile
Look, Dravid is
strategy?
saying that the view wasn't a major factor. Dravid said the
Huh,
view
and,
wasn't a major factor.
and if it wasn't, then it's even a more reason. I mean, I personally would have liked to see that Ashwin could probably be tried after, say they were 47 for 3 and Travis Head was batting. I think Ashwin would have been a great gamble against a left-handed batsman who does not play spin that well. So I don't think we got that part right. The question about Surya Kumar Yadav, Kushal, you and I had talked about this before the World Cup as well. We just don't think he's ready for ODI cricket. And I mean, I tweeted about this. I think he's played his last one-day international for a long time. I think we really need to think of someone else.
Do you
Sky
think
is
instead of Sky, we should have played Ishan Kishan, and he's a left-hander, and that would have helped in the larger scheme of things?
Maybe, or and maybe we switch it up and do put Ishan Kishan somewhere else, since someone drops back to 6 or something. I don't know what balance they were thinking. When Hardik Pandya was injured, they went ahead and got Prasidh Krishna. That was the most bizarre replacement ever. On your three fast bowlers are said, why wouldn't you go and get a batsman? You could have gotten Sanju Samson or Rinku Singh, anyone that could have fit in that number 6 position, especially when you knew that Surya Kumar Yadav was struggling. I mean, the only time he looked comfortable was when we played Netherlands, I think. I don't know if he looked completely in control. और दूसरा सूर्य को स्काई का प्रॉब्लम ये है कि when it's pace off, he does not have the shots to play. Like, he does not have the shots to play. He cannot play the pull or the hook the same way he, plays your lap shot and uses the pace to hit it behind the wicketkeeper. And you saw this bizarre five. I don't know if you guys saw those last 5 overs where he tried to play 5 shots behind the keeper and finally succeeded in getting out. None of them went in the desired direction or got the desired result. So I think India got some selections wrong, but where we lost the game was probably between the 11 and the 40 overs mark, where one of Kohli or Rahul should have accelerated. KL Rahul for sure should have accelerated. He went a little too slow for my liking.
Nikhil, what do you make of Team India's performance?
No. This selection thing is a big thing. In the way in which we use Siraj, we admitted that we didn't want to select. We bowled him literally when we had no other option but to bowl him. And we bowled him to his weaknesses. Why is it? Ask yourself this simple question. We faced decent batting lineups earlier. We were defending only 230 against England. David Malan is a left-hander. He was opening the innings. Why is it that we didn't open the bowling with Shami? It is because Mohammad Siraj's greatest strength is the new ball. And if you can't use him with the new ball, you're going to struggle to use him elsewhere. You chose to go with Shami for whatever reason. You wanted to go get Warner's wicket. Good luck. You got Warner's wicket and you had head as well. I don't think Siraj is a poor bowler to left-handers. I think he would have been fine. You didn't need to change this also. But that's a sign of panic. And the panic that it induces is, all right, you put Shami to the top of the innings and you want to go get wickets with them, and good luck to you. Perhaps you do, perhaps you don't, and you didn't. Right? Head got really lucky at times. We also got lucky with a free wicket of Steve Smith. But what did it eventually translate to? Now, when you are compelled by the number of overs that have been bowled, because Siraj doesn't bowl his first over to the 17th or so over, by which time the match is down to 100 odd runs, 140, 130 runs left. 140, 150 runs left. There's not a lot left there now. That is the stage of the game where Australia bowled extremely disciplined lines and they were bowling cutters. Bowling cutters is not this guy's strength. So he bangs the ball into the pitch and Travis Head starts that square on, moving away to the back, onto his back foot, into the back, deep into the crease, and just flat batting him all over that leg side field repeatedly. Too easy, just too easy. So you panicked because of your 240, and in that panic, you admitted that you didn't actually want Siraj for these conditions. You Aadit correctly pointed out, Ashwin only played against Australia on a pitch which was always similar to this pitch. Right? That's the only pitch that you played on, perhaps Lucknow and England apart, which is similar to this kind of wicket, on which you could have had a third spinner, and you could have had a deeper batsman. Or there's something more damning. The first league game against New Zealand where we chased down 278 eventually, that was the first time we got a feel for how light the batting order feels once you don't have Hardik. Because today, you felt the absence of Hardik big time, right? But in that match, even though we lost, I think it was KL Rahul with a fair number of runs to go. I think we're 100 odd, 120, 130 runs to go. Kohli didn't slow down. Jaddu didn't slow down. He attacked. I think Surya attacked. It was fine. Or Surya also got out very quickly.
Surya got run out.
Yeah, he got run out. Yeah, absolutely right. He got run out. He got shoulder dummy and he got run out. And Jaddu was able to keep on attacking nonetheless. You came into the final and exactly that thinking fell apart for you. So if you are saying that you are fine with this batting lineup as it is, and you will continue to attack, then you can't play those 30 overs in the middle the way you did. Kushal, please, we're in 2023. This is a batting lineup that's been close to made 400 once, been otherwise every time nearly 400. It's been free runs for everybody. Shreyas Iyer, in my opinion, went above and beyond what I think his levels are and scored more than 500 runs in this World Cup. Had a this because these pitches were flat. And what happens? In the final, you score 4 boundaries after the 10th over. That is the lowest number of boundaries scored in ODI post 2005. That's, to me, a problem not just of the pitch and the quality of the Australian bowling, which were very high. I don't dispute that. But a problem of your intent. I would much rather have had you get bowled out for 190, 200, trying to go get those higher runs, than making the 240 that's going to do nothing for you. Eventually going to do nothing for you. Now, let's sort of give them a little bit of a charitable outlook on all of this, because let's not be critical in hindsight. Perhaps India would have felt, and I'm also hoping that this is the way we were all looking at it, right? If the dew doesn't come, then 240 you are in the game. You're in the game, and that's perhaps what India was thinking. That our team was thinking that maybe, look, 240 in any event, to even their calculations, they would have felt thoda low reh gaya. You probably wanted 20, 30 more. But you would have not anticipated that the pitch will become as slick as it did, and then it just sort of keeps coming onto the bat. And I mean, it did all of that, but we bowled also really poorly yesterday. I mean, I'm sorry, we didn't attack properly. Jaddu did get turn at times. Kuldeep did get turn at times, but they didn't get it consistently enough. They didn't. I don't know if there were not enough revs on the ball, or not enough good lengths being bowled. There was barely a slip at times. I mean, I don't know. It just after they got past that initial 47 for 3 became say 98, 99 for 3. हम लोग बहुत ठंडे पड़ गए थे उसके बाद. बहुत ठंडे पड़ गए.
This reminded me of the 1996 final.
Yeah, 1996. They were also dew killed them that day, but there was proper dew that day. The dew killed them that day.
There was proper dew. Exactly.
Yeah, but I'm on something else. I mean, the main question you asked was Siraj. So the way you used him, you stitched him up. You really have stitched him up. You've treated him like, you couldn't use him for the purpose for which you allegedly selected him, which is to bowl in the middle order. But you've never bowled him in the middle overs earlier. You've always tried to open the bowling with him. You left him almost looking like, in your own opinion, at that moment in the game state, he's a superfluous bowler. You couldn't attack with him. That to me says everything. That to me says everything. It's an admission of your selectorial error. And I do like this. I always forget Ishan Kishan for some reason. I don't know. I always forget Ishan Kishan. I think Ishan Kishan is a much better ODI batsman than Yadav. In one of our pre-World Cup podcasts, I think Aadit had noticed that tweet I'd put out about the innings list of Surya Kumar Yadav, and that innings list hasn't improved much. His highest score this year in ODI cricket is 49. Not good enough. I mean, Ishan Kishan has played a blinder in the Asia Cup against Pakistan in tougher batting conditions, and perhaps even this better bowling
and under pressure.
That's right, tough match situation. And he played well. He played reasonably at the start of this World Cup as well. I mean, you put him up as an opener. Why can he not be at 5 or 6? I don't understand. 6, not 5, but 6. Well, these are ifs and buts.
There is another statistic. There is another statistic I want to talk about. We talk about, say, playing risk-free cricket. KL Rahul scores 66 of 100 and something balls. He hits 52 singles in that, just 5 doubles. Now, I would even have sympathy if you said that, he only hits 1/4 in 100 balls, and he's like, I won't take 4s, but I'll go for 2 and 3. And Ahmedabad is not a small ground like Wankhede. It's not a huge ground like MCG, but it has 70-meter boundaries. So doubles are possible. It's not like it's impossible. And their fielding was good, but it's what you said about the intent. I did not see using your feet to spinners and chipping down the track or going in the gap.
I'm not going to have a situation where all of this is put on only Rahul. I'm sorry, Kohli.
No. It's not. No. Of course, but that's what I'm saying. I'm coming to that. Kohli does that too. But I mean, in the whole World Cup, the way they defined it was the role of Virat Kohli was an anchor, and one of the other person was the accelerator. If KL Rahul was going to be this anchor, then Kohli should have accelerated. The issue was both of them just dropped down and were playing anchors, and none of them were rotating strikes. Right? If you want to see how an anchor and an accelerator perfectly played, was that period when Kane Williamson had dropped anchor and Daryl Mitchell was smashing us to all parts of the Wankhede for those 15 overs in the semi-final, where Kushal and I were texting and we are like, ye log kar denge 400, because they were doing it beautifully. Kane Williamson was rotating the strikes, getting those ones and twos, and Daryl Mitchell har ek over mein ek boundary maar raha tha. Har ek over mein. So it was. I'm not saying that this is going to be possible, but 52 singles out of 66, and Kohli had a similar statistic. He barely had any 4 or 5 doubles. You just
so
cannot
Kohli was
win.
26, if I recall correctly, of 15. Because he came out hot, right? He came out of those 3 boundaries and all of that.
Correct.
So if he was 26 of 15, that means he scored 28 of 48 after that, which is also close to 50% strike rate. And Rahul is also going 50% of that rate. And to be perfectly honest with you, Rohit has done a job in the first 10 overs, which means for maybe 10 overs you can do this, but you can't keep doing it. Or maybe we're just being a little too harsh and the Australian lines and lengths were just too good. They couldn't attack.
They were, Jaddu struggled as well.
Ravindra Jadeja. All of these things. At some point, you got out hot, yes, but you got out bowled also, and you got out batted also.
No, outfielded. I said out bowled, out batted, outfielded, and out captained. All 4. I mean, I love Rohit Sharma as a captain, but Pat Cummins was just the better captain yesterday. That's just, And I don't know if you guys have listened to the boys at Great Cricketer, but I couldn't bear to click on their video and hit play.
नहीं मैं honestly मैं आज सुबह वर्कआउट कर रहा था.
I heard a bit of it. It was a lot of fun.
या मजा आया मेरे को सुन के. मैं बहुत हंसा. मैंने उनको सुना. मैं तो एंजॉय करता हूँ. मेरे को देखो हारो जीतो. And honestly,
they are always funny, Kushal, but they are big on taking the horse to drink water, carrying the horse to water today. On the Indian team, the analogy was everything had been done. The horse had been taken to the pond. Now you got to make it drink, but the horse won't drink. And the way they set it up and the way they do it is so funny. It's so hilarious. You just can't help but laugh at yourself as a cricketing nation. It was too funny. They are always a joy. I love watching them.
They are a joy to watch. I mean, I don't know how to say this to people, but भाई game है, लाइफ नहीं खत्म हो गई है तुम्हारी और इंडिया फाइनल में आई है. मतलब ऐसा, मतलब कई लोगों के तो रिएक्शन देख के मुझे लगता है मतलब उनका पता नहीं कोई 4 करोड़ की पेमेंट डूब गई है, घर किसी ने छीन लिया है भाई.
नहीं, and I want to make another point, Kushal. ये काफी लोगों ने बोला, अरे ऑस्ट्रेलिया में no one cares about cricket, still they won, and इंडिया में everyone cares.
कुछ भी बकवास है.
नहीं, no, so I'm coming to that. मैंने कल फिर ratings देखे कि ऑस्ट्रेलिया में, because ऑस्ट्रेलिया में TV ratings are fairly transparent and stuff. More than 1 million people tuned in to watch. More than 1 million families must have tuned in, because I shouldn't say people, to watch in Channel 9's broadcast of the World Cup. Right now, World Cup final में कोई एक बंदा अकेला तो देखता नहीं है. There are 4 people, 6
which
people.
Is at 4 a.m. by the way for them. At 4 a.m. for them.
No. It's in the evening. 4 a.m. हमारे लिए in America, but it goes on till 4 a.m. for Australians.
That's
so
what
they
I'm
have
saying.
to like. Correct, right? So it starts at 7:30.
Their inning starts at 12:30, 1 o'clock, 1 a.m. for them, na?
1 a.m. That's correct. Yeah, you're right. So it's at so if more than 1 million families have tuned in to it, you can extrapolate and say about 6 to 7 million people would have joined in. Like if you look at bars and people collect, that's about 1/3 of the country. Or I mean, what are you saying? I mean, Channel 9's market share was 47% yesterday in Australia. That's how many people were actually looking at the match. So just because they don't they don't do parades outside if they win the World Cup, that doesn't mean that they are not interested. Yeah. And by the way, I'll tell you something. MCG still has the record for the most number of people that attended the final.
नहीं, उसके बारे में मेरे को बात करनी है. I know what you're talking about, the attendance record.
No.
मेरे को जो
नहीं, मैं उसके no. BCCI की criticism की बात करेंगे. What I'm saying is, if cricket was not popular in Australia, why are 90,000 people showing up to MCG and 45,000 every year for the Boxing Day and the New Year Test matches? I mean,
No,
what
no,
are
no,
these
no.
guys
It's
talking
not
about?
cricket. It's ODI cricket. Test match is always popular. The criticism was they don't care about ODIs and about T20s.
No, but I think
They
they
are by
do. Like World Cup tournaments, where they do care about ODI cricket. They don't care about bilateral, which is fine. Abhi India Australia T20 series shuru ho rahi hai 2 din mein, by the way, which no
they
one
have a
cares about.
captain who has captained an ODI team for 4 occasions before a World Cup. Yeah, 4 occasions,
Yeah,
and he has been captain for 3 years. They don't care enough. They just landed up and they just get it right. That this is what they do. They get it right because they do the basics properly.
correct.
या अच्छा अभी आई थिंक मैच तो जो चर्चा करनी है हो गया है. कैन वी नाउ लुक एट द लार्जर पिक्चर? बट बिफोर वी गो, जस्ट वांट टू शेयर दिस रिकॉर्ड. आई एम सॉरी, मुझे हंसी आ रही है बिकॉज लोगों को
हाँ,
बहुत
please.
गुस्सा आता है मगर मुझे बहुत हंसी आती है. सो
हाँ.
इंडिया का रिकॉर्ड: T20 वर्ल्ड कप 2014 रनर्स अप, ODI वर्ल्ड कप 2015 सेमीफाइनल, T20 वर्ल्ड कप 2016 सेमीफाइनल्स, Champions Trophy 2017 runners up, ODI World Cup 2019 semi-finals, World Test Championship 2021 runners up, T20 World Cup 2021 Super 12, T20 World Cup 2022 semi-finals, World Test Championship 2023 runners up, ODI World Cup 2023 runners up.
Why do we talk about South Africa? I see a C word being used for another team in playoffs and semifinals, unfortunately. Uh,
Yeah,
uh,
listen, that 30 over spell where we had frontline batsmen at the crease, that's a bit of a sea.
yeah, absolutely. It's a huge choke, monumental choke. On that, they go. First thing is championship teams are ruthless. So if if you're not playing, I give this example. Alex Carey played in the first game of the World Cup, and they found that Alex Carey was not
Gone.
doing.
उसके
उनको
बाद
निकाल
gone.
दिया
बाप
first game से. हाँ, for us to
अरे
get Shami
Stoinis and
Hardik.
Green बाहर बैठे हुए हैं यार. What did they do? Their
For
team construction is not dissimilar. They threw out Stoinis and Green. If you look at them, how many Indian fans used to say, यार ये Australian batting lineup में लप्पेबाज बहुत बैठे हुए हैं. We can handle them. Head लप्पेबाज है. Warner भी आजकल Warner, Labuschagne and Smith ठीक है. उसके बाद क्या कहते हैं, Maxi भी एक नंबर का लप्पेबाज है. And उसके बाद English है, and then तो you're down to Stark and Cummins. Stark and Cummins took on the responsibility of effectively being all-rounders because they wanted that depth in the team.
और लाबुशेन की बात कर रहे थे, कुशल तुम्हें तो याद होगा,
And
we were talking about
Maxi scored a double 100 on one leg.
200 out of 290. But the closest thing we've seen to Kapil Dev's 175. But also, I think the Australian team after that double 100 was a different team. Matlab, if there is one innings that can supercharge your organization, it was that innings. Matlab, uske baad I legit was afraid of Australia ki ye log matlab haarne nahi wale if they play. And that is why I kept saying that this reminds me of the 1999 World Cup Australia, because that Maxwell innings is akin to Steve Waugh's innings in 120. Herschel Gibbs drop catch, you can extrapolate and say that was Mujibur Rahman's dropped catch. And essentially, every country dropped the World Cup the minute that catch went down.
Yeah, look, even in 99, South Africa had them.
So in 99,
it comes down to this one game. In this one game, you were very poor. You were very, very poor. We didn't.
No.
Part of this
Can I just share one more? Can I share
But-
one more statistic, please? I
Please,
think
go
I
ahead.
want to back Nikhil up. India dominant but not victorious. ESPN Crick Info. This is win-loss ratio from 2015 World Cup onwards. India has the best win-loss ratio, but not one trophy to show for it. The second team is Australia, which has 2 trophies. The answer lies there, Nikhil. You are right.
No, but Kushal, it's not that. It's also absorbing the pressure on the big day, right? And it's that I agree with Nikhil that we had one bad day, but we've had that one bad day for 3 World Cups in a row.
No, I'm not saying one bad day. I'm going a step further. I'm saying the problem is us.
Agree. Yes.
This was not in the context of Australia. See, there's an article today on Crick Info, Osman Samiuddin, beautifully written. Like he has a particular style of writing. Australia inevitable. No, man. There's nothing inevitable. In 99, it wasn't inevitable. South Africa had them. This time around, we had them. We chickened out. There's a part of this is just we just chickened out.
Chickened out. At
Yes.
81 for 8, even if 81 for 2, chalo, Rohit gets out at 81 or 81 for 3 in 10 overs, they are going at 8 and overs. You can go at 6 and overs and you'll be like 200 in the 40 overs and then kuch bhi ho
6 and
sakta
over
hai.
नहीं होने वाला था उस time पे. I'm not saying 6 and
I'm
over
sorry,
and all.
6 and over. nahi. No. I'm talking about 4. Sorry, I was talking about 4 and over, and you're still at 200 or something in 40 overs.
Aadit, what is the old adage? Yeah, middle overs, you knock the ball around, you take your ones and twos, and you hit the odd boundary. Where's the odd boundary? There's no odd boundary. That's the problem.
Also,
वो oddness आई नहीं.
it was the boundary was so odd. I need.
Yeah. Here's another killer stat that this is a stat that I actually wanted to check on. Highest number of sequence of deliveries without a boundary in this World Cup: 124, Netherlands versus Sri Lanka. Number 2, India versus Australia with 97. Third highest sequence, India versus Australia, 73. This same game.
And also Netherlands, Sri
good.
Lanka, mein, because it was 96 for 6, they had the sequence, but then they got 260 plus and actually had a competitive score. So it makes us look even worse.
I want to add a little bit to this thinking, right? Okay, so you slow down because you say, okay, the wicket is slowing down, it's sticky, it'll create problems. But what's the plan? Look, you do need a premium, right? Like Harsha Bhogle has said already the day before yesterday, 6:45, dew aa gayi thi. Now, dew is not an everyday phenomenon in Ahmedabad, and Dravid was quite clear there wasn't much dew today. The pitch does get slicker at night because the conditions change a little bit, but it wasn't really much dew, and I didn't see any towels on the field. I mean, I don't know if you guys didn't really see any towels being used by bowlers, right? So heavy dew would not have been an issue at all in this game, right? So you perhaps think that you're batting, and so you need a premium. But at that time, when you're planning your innings, you are thinking Australia, A, and B, you're thinking you want some premium of runs, right? Like you need some extra runs here. So what do you decide to do? We'll go sheet anchor till the and for some too much that from the 40th in 10 overs we're going to score at 10 and over. Why? Why will that happen for you? Will that suddenly happen for you? And if it can happen for you, then what is it about your eye that is not in at say 30 or 30 odd that you made of 60 odd balls that you can't get separate? Bloody Maxwell, yaar. Zampa, yaar. एक निकल के एक तो मारो यार ऊपर. दूसरे कोई सेकंड टियर में पहुंचे उनको भी लगेगा कि यार प्रॉब्लम आ रही है हमारे पास.
Maxwell had, and I forget who the third bowler was, maybe Labuschagne. उनका जो
1
fifth
for
bowler
44.
था, out.
Mitch Marsh.
1
Mitch
for
Marsh,
44.
44.
Mitch Marsh, I'm sorry. Yeah, 10 overs, 1 for 44. And it was that bad. And by the way, guys, do you know who our most expensive bowler was yesterday? It was not Siraj, it was Mohammad Shami. Shami went for higher. He got also in the beginning because he could not control the swing, and then the joke was that KL Rahul let more fours as a wicketkeeper than he hit as a batter because there were like the 4 byes that went through his legs. There was a 4 down the leg side. It was that bad. So I mean, it was. That overs when we gave 5 wides, that gave me very 2003 final Zahir Khan vibes, because Zahir Khan was the bowler of the tournament for India till that final. He scores 50, gives away 15 runs, the advantage is gone. Australia is 28 of 2
Bumrah
overs.
gave 15 in the first over of this one also. Bumrah also gave 15.
Bumrah, exactly. Bumrah gave 3 fours and then Shami gave 4.
Mitch Marsh tried to throw the kitchen sink at that ball and he got an underside edge. When he hit Shami for that 6 over long on, like, ye chal pada, ye to 30 over mein khatam karte.
That is exactly my reaction. I was like, Mitchell Marsh was joking about Australia getting 400 and we are being out for 80. I'm like, that 6 over long on, because Shami before that World Cup was pitching up the ball and getting it to swing. This guy went in the line and smashed him 86 meters behind his back. I mean, it was unreal. And we got lucky. Steve Smith wasn't out. Both Warner and Mitch Marsh got out to very poor shots. So for some strange reason, 47 for 3, India, it was as silly as Sri Lanka being 1 for 2 in that Eden Gardens 1996 semi-final. For some reason, we were in the game, and then we forgot to.
The ball did reasonably enough. So let me compensate that. Okay, so head. For me, at least, looked like everything that Shami to Stokes was, except the wicket. Shami had head on toast, completely on toast. But what does head do? He still finds, because what we did at that time was a very good attacking ploy for a bit. We brought in the slips.
Hmm.
We took a couple of deep fielders away. We brought up the third man. He is struggling to put bat on ball on the in cutter and the away goal from Shami from around the wicket. He then suddenly recognizes an in cutter coming at him and he slices the ball for 4 to third man. He's still thinking boundary. That's how you play this game. Yeah, I mean, we just stop thinking boundary. That's intent. And
Can I
he's
ask you
cutting it
both a
off
question?
just outside off stump. That's risk. Yeah, you have to take that risk.
Can I ask you both a question? And Kushal, you or Nikhil, whoever wants to take it. The whole debate about the pitches and stuff like that, whether this should have been played on a fresh wicket or not, and this.
It was the same for both teams, right?
No. That's not what I'm saying. I think it backfired on India. Like, I think on a fresh wicket where it's a little.
Hindsight is 2020.
No, of
Whatever.
course.
Australia could have been better on another pitch also.
Ha, no,
Australia
I'm not
just
denying that. I'm just
outplayed
asking.
us.
I'm just asking that we actually on a worse sort of track, which is a little bit conducive to bowling, than a flatter track, you reduce the advantage that India has, because India is a better team stacked against Australia. But it's similar to the 1983 final, right? If a wicket is moving around and seaming around, even though West Indies is a better team, the West Indies and India difference goes down, because when it's swinging around, any bowler, even at 140 or 130 kilometers an hour with a good swinging delivery, can get you out. You don't need to be express pace to get that out. So I'm saying in that context that it reduced the gap between the two teams.
See, first of all, I don't think so. The pitch reduced the gap between the two teams. I think India should have played better on that pitch, because even Rahul Dravid said that the dew, while there, was not that big a factor. Right? I mean, and can I just take a moment to appreciate Rahul Dravid during the golden period of the first 10 matches? सारे player आए press conferences में. Final हारे, that man Rahul Dravid stood up and he took the final press conference. He put his game face on and he went, and now you can say he's a ghatiya coach, ye coach, wo coach, but at least I want to appreciate the personality of the man, that जब उसकी team गिरी, वो आया आगे और उसने प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस की. I don't know if you guys
That's
noticed that, but he did it. So I just wanted to take that opportunity.
Rahul Dravid is a Gen Xer, man. He's a man of character.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to appreciate that bit. But okay, this is a horrifying news that I have just read on Vion. It has really bothered me. I just wanted to take a break here. I just read a news that a 23-year-old man from West Bengal took his life after India's loss in the World Cup final on Vion News. Oh, for fuck's sake, please don't. Okay, kids, whosoever watches this podcast, it's just a sport. Please don't ruin your life for this. Please. Nothing is worth it. Not cricket. Nothing is worth taking your life away. So please, if you're a young kid, a boy, a girl, it's just a game. Please don't do it. I just read it on my timeline. It's heartbreaking. My commiserations to the family who has lost their child. Please don't do this. Can we, as responsible human beings, reach out? Na karo, please. Don't do it. It's not worth.
And there's another World Cup in 7 months. You'll get another chance. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Condolences to the family, and may God give them strength. And I as a child, I know how 2003 felt. I didn't want to eat dinner and stuff, and it felt like shit. It should feel like shit for fans and stuff, but unfortunately, we'll have to learn to move on. It's not our life. And when guys, I have to take a slight detour and give you one. So you guys must have heard of Tom Brady. He's probably the greatest American football player ever, right?
Yeah.
NFL. So he was talking to Houston Texans. हमारी मेरी जो team है NFL की, उसका is one of the best quarterbacks, and they were having a conversation. And Tom Brady, he asked him about what do you do? How do you? He's getting stardom, and how do you deal with criticisms and stuff? He's like, you have to understand one thing: when you're going out there as an athlete for a franchise or something, you are also doing your job. And when sometimes people get you're having great fun doing your job, but you don't go to your friend's place and say, hey, you're doing your job, let's just go and have some fun or something. No, there is a lot of seriousness. But think of your fans' criticism and comments as an appraisal or something. So when you are questioning your players and stuff, it's not wrong to criticize them or something. But in only in India, I have seen post World Cup most comments saying, "Oh, do you miss MS Dhoni right now? Do you miss now?" I think MS Dhoni was one of the greatest captains in the World Cup, but in 2019 World Cup, he was very much there, and I don't think I miss MS Dhoni in the lineup at all, or in the 2015, the Dhoni of 2011 maybe, but he was the captain in 2015, 2019 he was in the team. We still only made it to the semi-final. So I don't know.
Yeah, you don't get to pick an all-time 11. No, like would Australia
Huh?
not have missed Ponte? Would they not have missed
Exactly.
Mehra? Would they not have
Yeah,
missed? I mean, you
but
have what you
Nikhil,
have.
no Australian is ever going to say
I'll
this.
tell you what this is. This is the online. I only noticed it in this World Cup. I never believed that this existed to the scale that I'd seen it earlier.
Oh
That I've never
God.
seen it like this. Online, these cliques for the Rohit fans, the Virat fans, and the Dhoni fans. I saw screenshots being shared on groups that I'm on of Dhoni fans saying, "Tomorrow we must support our Australian brothers because Thana's record must be kept intact." I'm like, what the hell? How much self-loathing can you suffer from, man? What is wrong with you people?
Arey,
Dhoni is
you
apparently
should
more important than anything else. What do you
when we
say?
when we debate the Indian cricket team, you should see mine and Kushal's timelines from Rohitians and Viratians bashing. And I don't know. Every time I have to clarify. I like both of them, man. Like I don't. I mean, I love when Team India does well. But if they play badly, I'm going
Okay.
to criticize them.
I'm gonna have to intervene
Viratians
here
will
because
marry
no, no,
Sorry.
no.
Go
So
ahead.
I'm gonna have to intervene here because I want to take questions also, and we have discussed enough about the match. Now I want to focus on the tournament. Let's discuss the World Cup tournament. I want both of you to give me. I'm gonna share my views. I think the tournament is too long. I like the format, not the days of playing. I want more double headers in this tournament. I want the tournament to be shorter, and I want similar format with more teams so that we get more people involved in the sport. That's my view on point number one. Point number two, so much I want to take this opportunity to look at the future of ODI cricket also, because Mitchell Stark, I am quoting him, had made a statement, you know that having two new balls in ODI cricket is going to destroy the sport. And even Sachin Tendulkar had made this statement 5 years ago that it is, he called it, quote, Sachin had called it a recipe for disaster. So what do we do about ODI cricket and its future? I am, Nikhil has raised some very important points. Unfortunately, क्या होता है, मेरी और निखिल की फोन पे वो बातें होती है, and then I freaking forget. So it's good he's on the podcast because निखिल ने बहुत अच्छे points raise किए थे इसके ऊपर, ये especially ये bowling को जो हम खत्म कर रहे हैं ODI cricket में. That is point number two, and something that I wanted to talk about after this. मगर before that I want to appreciate something. अभी लोग बोलेंगे negative बातें करते रहते हैं. Boss, the total amount of revenue generated because of this World Cup in India is 22,000 Indian rupees, 22,000 crore Indian rupees approximately, which is around 2.6 billion American dollars. Boss, I am so happy that this tournament has happened. Every 4 years, हमारे यहाँ रखो. हमारे यहाँ रखो. I am so happy when I read this news. More than highest ever gate हमने क्लॉक कर लिया आदित. By the way, we have beaten the 1.3 million gate. We have clocked it. But the one thing I want to talk, तुम दोनों अपने पूरे views share करना, मगर this bothered me the most. Look, India losing, ठीक है, हार गए. This bothered me the more because ये जो third ratedness है ना, MCG में 93,013 आते हैं. 1,10,000 ऑफिशियल कैपेसिटी के नरेंद्र मोदी स्टेडियम को सेल आउट करने के बाद 92,453 आते हैं. इसका एक ही मतलब है बॉस, लास्ट की ब्लैक की टिकटें नहीं बिकी, और कोई मतलब नहीं है इसका. द ब्लैक टिकट्स वर नॉट सोल्ड. आई वांट टू टेक दिस अपॉर्चुनिटी टू से शेम ऑन द बीसीसीआई, क्योंकि मुझे लिटरली मालूम है ये क्यों हुआ है. मैं ऑन द रिकॉर्ड नहीं बोल सकता, कोई मेरे ऊपर डेफेमेशन ठोक देगा, क्योंकि मालूम होता है क्यों हुआ है, कौन इन्वॉल्व है मुझे मालूम है. अनफॉर्चुनेटली मगर बोलूंगा तो मेरे ऊपर डेफेमेशन आएगा, इसके लिए मैं नाम नहीं ले सकता। मगर समझदार को इशारा काफी है। मैंने मेरी पूरी रेंटिंग कर ली, अब आदित और निखिल।
हाँ, so sure, I'll go. You want to go first, Nikhil, or should I? Okay, हाँ, ठीक है, चलो, I'll go first. Okay, let's go point by point. First, about the length of the tournament. Absolutely agree. Too long of a tournament. 45 days की tournament. I think FIFA has got it right. 30 days is the perfect time for the tournament. अगर आपको थोड़ी लंबी करनी है तो you can do 30 days for all league games, and then qualifiers के लिए आप 4 या 5 दिन extra रखो. Makes it about a 34-day tournament. Still about 12 days or 11 days shorter than what it is right now. Second point about the teams. I don't like the format about just 10 teams playing the World Cup. I like that there are 14 or 15 teams playing the World Cup. Listen, there should be a fact. I know in world cricket depends on India a lot. FIFA World Cup, may France crashes out or England crashes out in the first round, it's not like people are going to stop watching the World Cup. But you know, ICC is afraid that 2007 wali situation now jaye ki India gets out in the first round and then Pakistan gets out and no one really watches anything. But they should have sort of, I think, to either 2003 ka format or something where there are 14 teams and there are, you know, two groups of 7 or something, which is what 2027 is going to be. Something like that should happen. But you should have double headers. In fact, 2003 World Cup in South Africa had triple headers. I remember that there are games like Sri Lanka, Canada and stuff where Canada was bowled out for like 36 or 37. There was a triple header, and for good reason. That game lasted 2.5 hours. You know, why get, you know, India Pakistan की मैच चल रही थी, तो उस दिन Canada West Indies की थी. And for old cricket fans like us will remember, John Davison at that time scored a century in 42 balls against the West Indies.
Yeah.
But my point is, you have to have, maybe the first match don't keep it a double header, but if it's India Pakistan, there is nowhere it should say that only one game should be played. They should have double headers and stuff. I mean, you keep the interest going on that. That's point number 2. Point number 3, you talked about the attendance and stuff. Not just this match, yaar. Kitne match, even in India Pakistan, the attendance was less than what the stadium could have done, only because the tickets were not.
टिकट्स बिक गई थी आदित, बिकने के बाद सारी टिकट.
हाँ, बिकॉज ट्रांसपेरेंसी, मुझे व्हाट्सएप फॉरवर्ड्स आ रहे थे कि 5-6 हजार की टिकट को 50,000 लाख रुपए की, बिकॉज अ लॉट ऑफ, you know, I am from Ahmedabad, so a lot of people I know in Ahmedabad, and I was getting what I have pictures and I'm not going to share them and stuff on public domain, but I have pictures. People have
तुझे भी मालूम है, मुझे भी मालूम है क्या हो रहा था.
हाँ,
सबको पता है क्या हो रहा था.
So this is a shame. Even चलो 130,000 is concert capacity, the Narendra Modi Stadium में 1,10,000. फिर भी you should have had the largest attendance ever for a World Cup final, boss. You fell short by 18,000 people. That is not acceptable. Not acceptable at all. So that is one thing. And then to say your last question about it, yes, the revenue was brought in by the World Cup and thing. But I would have liked to see BCCI try to include other countries and stuff also. If you are a fan from England and Australia or New Zealand, it was almost impossible. The ones that were braved the whole ticketing fiasco and came, it's disgusting. And we'll talk about I'll let Nikhil make his points, and then we'll talk about who are the best performers of the World Cup and stuff. But yeah, the BCCI has got to do better to include other. Yeah, India में तो यार 50,000 लोग आ जाएंगे in India's match. It's not easy. It's not hard to fill up. But
I understand Pakistani fans not being allowed to enter, and I got no issues with India doing that. मैं सीधा बात कर रहा हूँ, मेरे को घुमा फिरा के बात करने को आता नहीं है. मगर बाकी कंट्रीज को यार कुत्ते के जैसे निखिल वो लोग ने टॉर्चर किया है बाकी देश के लोगों को आके मैच देखने को इंडिया में.
अरे even journalists, I know sports journalists who have been like just, it was just awful for them to get a visa. So I think that the BCCI should have done better. So Nikhil, go ahead.
Yeah, and there's no flavor to a match then also, right? If it's just a one-sided crowd, wo maza nahi aata. You need crowds to be multi-faced so that you can get more of a support. Yeah, also अपना भी देखो अगर आप Indian crowd ना जो आपको used to है, you used to get people from all classes, right? So the faces that you used to see on the boundary used to be people from who you think are like, you know, from them, this is a really big occasion out. They've gone and watched a match. In 96 and in 2011, there used to be smaller venues as well. And those would have been cheap tickets. Those would have been tickets that were within their affordability arc. But now it looks like this was a proper scam. I look, from the day the BCCI came up with this ticketing scheme, the first question we all asked was, why don't you have electronic tickets? Because electronic tickets wouldn't have been transferable for this dhandebazi. First up. Second, electronic tickets would have been very easy to sell to foreign fans who wanted to travel for this purpose. Electronic tickets would have also made it easier. Would have also made it easier for your visa authorities to be assured that this person is traveling for the purpose of this cricket match, etc. And electronic tickets would have created a greater sense of democracy if you then had priced tickets. So what you don't do is create this bloody auction scenario. There's a price, a fixed price. There has to be a category of tickets, however many rows front mein jo bhi aap kar rahe ho, which have to be like 100 rupees, 150 rupees ki ticket here, which anybody can come and watch, come and buy and watch from it. You can't be excluding people like this in a country like India. Yesterday felt like a who's who of every celebrity dick fuck that I don't ever want to see in a cricket stadium. Yaar. But Ranveer Singh, ये क्या कहते हैं, शाहरुख खान, इन चुटियों का क्या कर रहा है मैंने क्रिकेट मैच में यार? ये cheer करने आएंगे when you're down, when you're not really up for it, who will do the cheering? Wankhede में क्या हुआ था? Wankhede, you get a proper Mumbai crowd. Shami dropped that catch. They were backing Shami to the core. Yesterday, it was like a bloody graveyard in those 30 overs as well. Let's be honest about our crowd. And I don't blame the crowd. Crowds want more events.
नहीं मगर यार वर्ल्ड कप फाइनल में तो ऑल ओवर द कंट्री के लोग आए थे, ऑल ओवर द कंट्री.
Because I know so many people like Bombay, Delhi se flights for 40-30,000.
Yeah, I agree. Spending about 1.5 lakhs getting there. One class of people. We're not the kinds who are going to go mad all the time cheering.
Either you had.
I went to watch India versus Afghanistan in Kotla. I watched it. I kept telling people I watched from the old clubhouse stand. It's so gorgeous to watch from there. People friends who were with me were like, "You're watching this like you're on TV," because I watched every ball. I was so absorbed and I watched every ball. And I'd chat with friends. But I'm not going to do halla gulla in the way in which it needs in a stadium and for a team to be cheered. Periodically I will, but not a lot. So I'm sorry, this was a little exclusionary, the whole exercise. Right?
I agree, Nikhil.
But these kinds of crowds. These kinds of crowds, what do they need? And this is where it all sort of clicked for me. Why the marketing teams require 2 white balls? Because you need events, right? So if you created a flatty of a pitch and you're just belting away like India has been belting away throughout, chauke lag rahe hain, chakke lag rahe hain, cheering chalti rahi hai. That's when you bring the crowd back into the whole scenario as well, right? So this is why the 2 new balls are not going anywhere, brother. The 2 of it being death for bowlers is not an unknown circumstance for a decade. There is nothing novel about it. Everybody knows this. Yesterday, if you have one ball, a different kind of spinning capacity comes to spinning. A different kind of spinning lines and spinning variations could be bowled by spinners. If you keep bowling with a newer, harder ball, you're worried about the amount of grip you're going to get, the amount of turn you're going to get. It's, there's just a lot that changes by constantly trying to play new ball cricket. It doesn't work. And plus, क्या किया है कि ओवर टाइम क्योंकि 2 न्यू बॉल यूज कर रहे हो, आपने लाका भी रिड्यूस किया है जो व्हाइट बॉल में होता था. जो पहले होता था लाका, it used to cause a lot more movement in the ball. So all those changes are what they are. I mean, I'm not, look, Kushal, like you've said to me in the past also, these are not decisions being made in the context of the health of the game and the balance of the sport between bat and ball. These are decisions being made in the context of the marketability of the sport. That being the scenario, I told you my answer was, we are ancient, dude. Our thinking is ancient. Nobody cares. I'm telling you, after our last podcast, there was a comment in our podcast where someone said, this Nikhil Mehra fellow looks like he likes cricket in the 2000s and the 90s when cricket was boring. I was like, it wasn't boring. This is the problem that I have. You and I could watch, the 3 of us could watch, say, a 4 over or a 5 over spell of pressure being created. Right? And every ball is intrigue for us because we're like, boss, if you don't start getting these balls away, you're going to be induced into an error. Sachin used to get up by South Africa early in the 90s, even when he was at his peak, when hitting peak, right? Fani de Villiers' slower ball used to be Tendulkar's death. And if Fani didn't get him, then Hansi used to go get him because they'd lock
Hansi
him
did,
up for a while.
yes.
They'd lock him up for a while, and these slow balls would come, and he'd just to try and hit, and he'd get out. And we found that cricket absorbing. We found it interesting. They don't anymore. So the market feedback that the game's owners must be getting is, boss, chokka chakka has to happen.
What is the moment of the 1992 World Cup final? Wasim Akram's 2 reverse swinging deliveries, right? Does anyone remember any 6 or 4 hit? Maybe Inzamam's cameo. But if you ask what was the moment of the... So it is also an evolution of that. Another thing that people don't talk about in this World Cup and in the last few years, in between 10 and 40 overs, you are now mandated to have one less fielder on the boundary. So for India to have less... But that's what I'm saying. For India, so if India cannot hit 4s between 10 and 40 overs with one less fielder on the boundary, that becomes even sadder. That statistic. I was thinking that ek to ek kam hai, aur fir bhi you are not able to hit 4s. How
I'll add to that. Yeah, I was watching the fields they were setting. They barely had a fielder in the front field on the boundary other than a point. And a point is also a fairly square point. They were protecting the boundaries behind the stumps. You didn't even take a 4 mid-wicket for...
Kushal and Nikhil, you tell me, do you remember that if Kohli and Rahul stepped out a lot and tried to hit anyone down the ground or something like... Look,
the statistic that's being bandied around... The statistic that's being bandied around is there are 9 bounds after the 10th over. 9 attempted boundaries or became boundaries. 9 240 odd deliveries. That's a disgrace.
Wow.
Yeah, क्या बोलें अभी मतलब तो हंसी आ रही है. One more thing that I wanted to talk about. Kapil Dev has been quoted saying, "I wasn't invited. They didn't call me, so I did not go."
It was, I think it is pathetic if he wasn't invited. So I read a very funny meme that BCCI को लगा कि 83 movie के कपिल देव को बुलाना चाहिए था, इसलिए they called Ranveer Singh instead of the real Kapil Dev.
क्या बकवास है यार, क्या वाहियात लोग हैं ये लोग.
So BCCI है यार.
No, and can I add something? The freaking president of BCCI.
Jay Shah has the most slappable face I've ever seen in my life. The most...
Okay, let's not go there. Calm down.
No, listen. This guy, I'm sorry. The way he speaks about the game, his public posturing of it, what is going on behind the scenes, it's sometimes embarrassing. It's outright embarrassing.
But
तुम्हारी pitches चलती रहती है, तुम pitches चुनते रहते हो जब तुमको मन करता है टूर्नामेंट के तो पूरा टूर्नामेंट बनाया जीतने के लिए, वो लास्ट में जाके तुम हार गए. मेरे को तो कभी-कभी ये थोड़ी सी डिलीशियस आयरनी लगती है 24 घंटे से जो मैं सोच रहा हूं. No, I'm sorry, the BCCI has a problem. It's flexing too much of its muscle and the game isn't better for it, and the game is being driven towards league cricket. That is something we have to accept. Test cricket will be kept up only by 2 or 3 nations. That's where BCCI is driving the sport. We all have to accept this.
No, but I agree with that. But what I don't understand is the president of the BCCI is still Kapil Dev's teammate from the 1983 World Cup team, Roger Binney. So this is another thing I don't understand, that what went so wrong. I understand that Jai Shah may wield more power than Roger Binney, but I can guarantee you Roger Binney can get 15 people in if he wants to at the stadium, and clearly
this sounds like one of those really incompetent things, like some kind of silly oversight. It can't be anything else. Why would you not call an ex-India captain?
I actually think this is like a bureaucratic bullshit जो बोलते हैं ना बाबू वाला बकवास इंडिया में कि the joint secretary, under secretary of BCCI was given the task of reaching out to Kapil Dev.
Yeah, इनका ये होगा that माही ने बोल दिया मैं नहीं आ रहा यार. They must have thought कि फिर ex-captain को बुलाओ ही मत, ex-winning captain को बुलाओ ही मत. कितने 2 तो हैं इनके यार. हम कौन सा ऐसे
इमरान खान got so happy. इमरान खान got so happy that शायद उसको पाकिस्तान की जेल के बाहर जाने को मिले अगर एक्स कैप्टन्स को बुलाए. But unfortunately कप्तान साहब की लेटेस्ट इंडिया ट्रिप भी, and he would have been sitting with Bollywood, his old friends.
ex-winning captains हमारे दो हैं. You started the show with that meme. You had 3 there. That bloody 3 still omits 2 others of theirs who have won World Cups. Yeah. They have such a lineup of World Cup winning captains. Man. There's no Michael Clark there. There's no Alan Border there.
Alan Border
There's
there.
no.
That's right.
87, 2015 is Clark.
Yeah. Border, Waugh, Clark, Ponting, and Cummins.
And T20 was Cummins. That last year was Cummins.
T20 was Cummins. Yeah. Absolutely.
So in 1 year, Cummins as a captain has won T20 World Cup, 50 over World Cup, Ashes, WTC.
Insane.
Legacy stuff, boss. Legacy scene.
Kushal, you want to talk about? I know you want to talk about the questions and stuff, but I if you can share this thread, I want to both of your comments on this, because ye mera sanak gaya tha. I feel like I have to stand a little bit up for my hometown, because ye bahut sara bakwas
can
ho
I
gaya.
just talk about this nonsense being spewed about Gujarati people in general? Can we just fucking stop that? Can we? I mean, kya Gujarati insan nahi hai kya? Just because you hate Narendra Modi, you're gonna spew any kind of nonsense about Gujaratis now? What kind of parochial pieces of shit?
This is
there
just
you go.
I just did I quoted 2 tweets, but there are about hundreds like this, that they said that a Chennai or Kolkata crowd would have been behaved differently. They wanted the crowd to applaud the Australian players when they hit good shots in the final, and because a Chennai and Kolkata crowd have been quote unquote more cultured than the Ahmedabad crowd. And so I had to, and then Nietzsche Professor Ashutosh Varshne says the same thing on that. If you go to the second tweet, if you go below Kushal, should Ahmedabad rooting for home teams is natural, but appreciation of better performances by the competing teams is better of sporting culture. And if the final happened in Mumbai or Kolkata, they would have appreciated Australia, even though they
burned the stadium down in Kolkata.
I had to tell. I think Dhume exactly replied to me saying that. I was like, 1996 May, when they did not like the semi-finals, they burnt the stadium down. 1999, Sachin Tendulkar gets run out because of the Nadeem Khan directed, and they think Shoaib Akhtar has interfered. The stadium was throwing missiles. Azharuddin had to step in, and the 5th day of the test match was played without a person in the stadium. Wasim Akram has said that on the record. Unfortunately, in Mumbai, as much as I love Wankhede, I think it's one of the most iconic. You can still not play Pakistan. Abhi ye World Cup mein, if semi-final was in with Pakistan, they said it would have been shifted to Kolkata. So what are they talking about? I'm not saying that Indian crowd, all Indian crowds have always been rowdy, but I'm saying we have had partisanship is natural. It's the World Cup, man. How can you?
You have to balance this a little bit. I agree with what you're saying in quite a large degree, because I look at the names of the characters who have tweeted this, and to me it becomes crystal clear what the purpose of the tweet is. It's nothing to do with the crowds and it's a political tweet. But at least on television, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, you may know people who were in the stadium, the reception to head century seemed really light. Really, really light. And it would have been lighter than what I perceived it would have been in Chennai or in Bombay, or in Chennai in particular, but Chennai and Bombay or Calcutta would have been. And also there were a couple of occasions, this was my perception during the ceremony, when the Australian players were being led up, sometimes what happens is the mic is close to some very vocal section. Right? And so you hear that, and so you're overhearing a lot of Kohli going on when the Australians are going and taking their medals and their trophies.
No, so first of all, to defend, the one thing I'll tell, I agree that the applause was muted. I'll tell you something. If this wasn't a World Cup final, probably the applause would have been more. I think it was simply the shock of India getting absolutely thrashed in the World Cup final, not to defend or something. But the presentation, there's another problem. BCCI.
First point is what Ahmedabadis. No, first thing is it's not enough Ahmedabadis. Firstly, right? There's a lot of 40, people from outside.
45 to 50% of the crowd was from the. Black ticket. There are so many. There are so many political people also have flowed in.
We got to mark this one. We got to mark this one. Shiv Sena pitch and black ticket fan.
Black ticket fan and Shiv Sena. This is perfect. But when it comes to the presentation, Nikhil, there is another problem. They waited for 45 minutes to 1 hour. So everyone I know told me they left the stadium because they did not want to get in the traffic jam. So after the game ended, they waited for 15 minutes and they left. And think about all world tournaments, FIFA World Cup and all that. 20 मिनट में presentation हो जाता है. ये पागलपन सिर्फ cricket में है.
I think what started happening, and this I noticed actually in the last World Cup also, Football World Cup also. If you notice yesterday, what happened was the media guys ran onto the field first, right? और वो सबको interview कर रहे थे. That took quite some time. I agree with you. Correct. It took quite some time.
So this happened in the IPL final also. Both the IPL finals, because both of them were in. So a lot of friends.
मेरे को एक बात बताया. What's going on with this? Yesterday I tweeted that breaking news: India has lost the Cricket World Cup
Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium
final at Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium because I think साला Gujarat Titans भी हारे थे वहीं पे यार.
नहीं Gujarat Titans won ना. नहीं फर्स्ट वाले तो जीत गए थे ना मोदी स्टेडियम पे.
But was that at Ahmedabad?
No, that was in Ahmedabad.
Ahmedabad they lost. No, the last.
No. So the first one was awarded to Ahmedabad because they had the biggest stadium, and then because they won, because Gujarat was a new team and the biggest stadium. Then Gujarat won. So per IPL tradition, the winning teams get to host the final again. So that's why both the finals. So no, we the first one we won, and the second one we lost.
At the stadium.
Both stadiums. But basically, your point is that a team in yellow always wins at the Narendra Modi Stadium, whether it's Chennai Super Kings or Australia.
ना चेन्नई में खिला सकते हैं इनको. We have to play them in Wankhede. Wankhede में नीला जीतेगा.
Can I point? नहीं, वानखेड़े में भी तो 2016 में हार गए थे T20 की वर्ल्ड सेमीफाइनल वेस्ट इंडीज से.
Yeah, that by the way, I want to draw a parallel to that because do you remember the amount of criticism Kohli's innings? That's the first time Kohli's T20 batting got criticized because he kept running singles and doubles in that innings, and I think he had like 32 singles or 32 singles and doubles in that innings, whereas the West Indies came out and hit 16 sixes. 16 छक्के. So match ही खत्म.
मतलब I remember मैं देख रहा था Marlon Samuels, I think it was there at that time. He just kept bashing us. And I just मतलब I could hear thak, and then मतलब ball fielder भी नहीं, सीधा crowd में ही आता, because the West Indian when they hit, they don't hit 60-meter sixes yaar. They hit them out of the stadium. It was unbelievable. So by the way, हम लोग श्रेयस अय्यर की बात कर रहे थे. श्रेयस अय्यर was good, but I want to point out something. 40% of his runs came in one stadium.
How can that be? I thought we played in different
No, stadiums. He hit a century against New Zealand, century against Sri Lanka at Wankhede. He got 500 runs. He got more than 220 runs.
Which is also his home ground.
Home ground. That's what I'm saying. So when people, Shreyas Iyer, theek hai. I mean, I'm glad he did well, but 40% of them came in one ground.
Bro, if we're going to start talking about the future, I know people are going to hate me for saying this, but I'm calling Khota Sikka.
Who?
On Shreyas Iyer.
On Shreyas Iyer. I didn't.
And on KL Rahul, I will give this to KL Rahul. KL Rahul yesterday found the most innovative way to let us down. The bugger actually has runs. I can't really complain about that. But he found a way to let us down in a different way this time. I knew, you just know it with these. He has made 100 odd of 62 balls at some point in this World Cup, right? The pitch was different. I understand the conditions, but intent matters. And this is a good enough batsman. It's not like he lacks for ability. He's a good enough batsman to take difficult bowling and start putting it out of the park, or at least start finding those gaps for boundaries. Didn't even try it.
और अभी क्योंकि viewers questions भी लेने हैं, नहीं मतलब just one last thing. Who was your player of the tournament?
I mean, batsman में तो Virat Kohli obviously was.
I think my player of the tournament was Mohammad Shami.
No. But I'm coming to Shami. I actually would rate Travis Head a little bit higher than Virat Kohli. Not for that, but he only played half the tournament. Australia played with a squad of 14 because they knew Head would join in the half. और उसने आधे tournament में जो impact किया, the sheer impact was unbelievable. That had, but obviously Virat Kohli and so for me, Virat Kohli was the batsman of the tournament, but Head and Shami, because both of them played half a World Cup and had impact that lasted the entire World Cup. Both of them effectively just played half a World Cup.
Yeah. Nikhil?
Just to give a new name, I'll go with Pat Cummins. I think he out-captained everybody. This team was 2-0 down, 120 for no loss. Sri Lanka was up on them. They looked totally dead and buried, and he got them re-energized and got them playing the way they were playing. And in the semi-final, you could see it in that first 10, 12 overs. This uplift in their fielding, you could see it in that semi-final first up against South Africa when they were defending everything. South Africa, they didn't give a boundary to South Africa for the first 52 balls also there. Right, so that's to me a captain that has got his team bound together, and he won it through that. I think so. Just to be a little contrary, and plus vital wickets of crucial deliveries in both the semi-final and the final. He knocked out the big boys in both.
But when we talk about future, South Africa cricket's future looks pretty decent. They had a lot of youngsters in the team and stuff.
यार वो टेम्बा बबूमा को ना बनाओ यार कैप्टन, बस कर दे यार। निखिल नहीं बोलना मुझे कुछ, मैं तेनू छड़ना नहीं।
नहीं, but मैं इसलिए बोल रहा हूँ because next World Cup South Africa में है, so they become a very potent team there. Very like with this.
हाँ यार, मैं तो भूल गया next 50 over World Cup तो South Africa में है।
South Africa में है, exactly.
South Africa is so just this is potency. They become a potent team. Let's just hold back for a second. These bastard Australians, and I will call them bastards again, have won a 50 over World Cup, 250 over World Cups in India, one in England, one in South Africa, one in West Indies, and one in Australia. कोई बची नहीं जगह यार, कोई जगह ही नहीं बची।
हाँ, just
राइट, तो तुमने ये बोला ना कि हम साउथ अफ्रीका में बढ़िया बन लो, ये तो आ रहे हैं लेकिन वापस देयर बैक अगेन।
हमको ब्राजील में वर्ल्ड कप रखना चाहिए just because there is a unique
we are very good in South Africa. Yeah, we won our 2007 T20 World Cup in South Africa, and which were at times wet conditions as well. Particularly that South Africa game itself, or Australia game, slightly wet conditions, and Pakistan game was wet conditions, and we also reached the finals of the 2003 50 over World Cup, which was in South Africa. But then we had one other Champions Trophy in South Africa, which we got killed by the quality of the bowling.
Nikhil, by the way, you raised a very important point. South Africa में World Cups की, let's look at the finals, right? 2003 day game, 2007 T20 final day game, right? Should India, which has a significant due problem, if we are hosting a T20 final, think about hosting a afternoon game, like a 4 to 7 game or a 3 to 6 game? Due खत्म ही हो जाएगी. And nothing is to suggest that Indians will not watch कि सिर्फ 8 बजे शुरू करो तो ही देखेंगे. Rather than bowling with a ball of soap or something, start the game at about 3 o'clock when you're hosting T20 finals.
Yeah, T20 finals at 3 o'clock. Right.
T20 finals at 3 o'clock.
Or a 50 over final at 11 o'clock. 11:30.
हाँ, 11 o'clock. Start at 11 o'clock. People will watch. Sunday को 11 बजे कौन नहीं देखेगा? इंग्लैंड की फाइनल डे हो सकती है, साउथ अफ्रीका की हो सकती है, तो आपकी क्यों नहीं हो सकती? If you really want to take the due out of the equation.
This is a really good point. Even England decided they had to play a day game because nobody can. Due is not something anybody can deal with. You can't deal with it. There's nothing you can do about it.
And someone said to me on Twitter that due is India's Kudrat ka nizam because every Indian was talking about due.
नहीं मगर I just want to break it to both of you. शर्त लगा लो ये नहीं होगा because broadcasters ये होने नहीं देंगे. भूल जाओ.
I don't know.
Then why do we discuss कि future क्या क्रिकेट का 2 white ball का फायदा क्या है यार?
वाहियात लोग हैं ये लोग.
फ्यूचर क्या है क्रिकेट का? एक स्टार स्पोर्ट्स है, एक सोनी लिव है, वही डिसाइड कर लेंगे.
और एक मिनट कि ये स्टार स्पोर्ट्स की कवरेज, ओ भाई माफ कर दो मुझे, विराट कोहली ने पॉटी कीती है, विराट कोहली के हाथ ऐदा है, विराट कोहली ऐदा करदा है, विराट कोहली औदा करदा है, सुबह से शाम तक विराट. और यार बाकी टीमों के बारे में बात कर लो. वो सेमीफाइनल का टॉप यार,
ना तो सचिन का नहीं था यार. It was never about Sachin this way.
They skipped the toss. They skipped the toss of the semi-final.
Rahul Gandhi. Sachin छोड़ो. Digvijay Singh does not talk this way about Rahul Gandhi the way Star Sport talks about Virat Kohli.
यार, बख्श दो यार. बख्श दो Star Sports. बख्श दो. मैं नहीं, मतलब माफ कर दो मुझे यार. क्या है ये? How dare you, man? Seriously, that's all I can do. Greta Thunberg. How dare you?
No, and to quote this, what Nikhil, to echo what Nikhil said, ये जो fan clubs का है ना, कि individual fan clubs, the KL Rahulians, Viratians, Rohitians, all this, Star Sports is playing into that hands by just talking about one player. Did if you go to Australian media, and by
Dude,
the
did
way,
you see they started showing memes of Temba Bavuma to troll in the semi-final? मतलब क्या disgusting लोग हैं यार.
बेवकूफी है.
अरे यार, I just realized हम लोगों ने player of the tournament वगैरह की बात करी. Best batsman on aggregate runs is Virat, yeah, but the most effective batsman was Rohit Sharma. Let's give the man his
Rohit
due here.
Sharma. Yeah.
Rohit Sharma, 597 runs, highest number of runs by a captain ever in a World Cup, and every run he made was a risky run. He went after bowling every minute of his batting.
And his strike rate was over 130, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So
yeah. He basically was the captain when यार एक तो हम जब हारते हैं ना वर्ल्ड कप, सिर्फ हारते नहीं, हमारी तो सुताई लगती है यार, प्रॉपर वाली. that Australia सेमीफाइनल लगा, जो 10 विकेट से हार के हम लोग अपनी शक्ल वापस लेके आए हैं, अपनी गंदी शक्लें वापस लेके आए हैं.
हाँ.
उसमें भी तो that's where he learned the lesson that the first 6 overs we were 38 for no loss. So what's the point of being 30 or 38 for? What's the point of being 38? Yeah, you're neither here nor there. You had to be 50-55 in a T20 game. So that's the lesson he carried into this tournament. And that's a huge mental shift. Yeah. That's a huge mental shift. So for me, the batsman of the tournament, I will actually say is Rohit Sharma.
And Kushal and I have been doing this for what years, at least 2 years now, and हम लोग तब वही बोल रहे थे, one has to be aggressive between KL Rahul, Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, and Rohit chose that part.
इस लीग में ना यार केएल राहुल को मत डाल.
नहीं no, you talked about 2000.
सिर्फ मेरी आशाएं तोड़ने के लिए पैदा हुआ है, उसको अलग रखो.
नहीं Nikhil, this is not for this World Cup, because you mentioned the last T20, तब तो वो ओपनर था ना, केएल राहुल और रोहित शर्मा, तो तब हम लोग बोल रहे थे कि between those three, because they were your top three, और केएल राहुल भी आके तब 12 of 12 balls खेलता था और फिर उसके बाद aggressive होना शुरू होता था. One of them has to go out and start smashing like how did. But by the way, boss, what do you think about the England team? Let's take the questions, Kushal, वरना वो भूल जाएंगे.
नहीं, क्वेश्चन छोड़ दे. एक लास्ट लाइन में बोलूंगा. स्टार स्पोर्ट्स की इंग्लिश कवरेज तो विराट कोहली थी, मगर स्टार स्पोर्ट्स की जो हिंदी कमेंट्री है ना, वो बख्श दो यार. वो क्यों करते हो? चुप हो जाओ.
मैंने कितनों को बोला है कि
मैच दिखा दो यार मुझे.
आप लोग हरभजन सिंह की कमेंट्री कैसे देख सकते हो? मैंने तो हरभजन सिंह को इंग्लिश में 5 टेस्ट मैच के लिए सुना है स्काई स्पोर्ट्स पे, एंड उसके बाद आई हैव डिसाइडेड व्हेनेवर हरभजन कम्स ऑन, एंड यस्टरडे देयर वाज अ वर्स थिंग देन इंडिया लूजिंग. इंडिया वाज लूजिंग एंड संजय मांजरेकर वाज कमेंटिंग. I actually felt like ये धरती फट जाए और मुझे ले लो.
माफ कर दो. ओ माफ कर दो यार, नहीं सहन होती. ये जो the caliber of the Hindi commentary in the World Cup. You know, I actually did the paap of switching to the Hindi channel once. And I was like, ये क्या हो रहा है? These guys are so disgusting. Can somebody tell these people that yes, we know no matter what you do, people will watch in India, but can you stop taking the viewer for granted? It is so obvious in the attitude of the BCCI, and that attitude comes in the susu tatti pishap ki smell that comes out of the washrooms of every stadium in India, and that hits our noses. They take you as a fan for granted, and Star Sports takes you as a viewer for granted.
But
shame on both of them.
But ये हिंदी commentary की problem सिर्फ यही नहीं है. Actually, Jeff Lemon has this old piece about Channel 9's commentary and what it had become, and I would recommend everyone to read it. It's one of the best pieces ever. And what he said was that when Channel 9 switched post Richie Benaud, Tony Greig, and Bill Lawry to these newer ex-cricketers, including this James Brayshaw and Michael Clarke and Brett Lee, it became a matey club. It was basically teams, Shane Warne and his people he played with, and they're like, oh yeah. And so Jeff Lemon said that James Brayshaw was talking about how he got like partied last night and stuff, and he realized that these guys sound exactly the same on camera as they do off camera. So there is no broadcasting seriousness. It is just a matey club in the commentary.
Exactly.
Hindi commentary has just become that.
What this is happening, I can give you a parallel example of this in the UFC, because in the pay-per-views, what happens is most of the time it's Rogan, DC, and John Anik. And the problem happening over there is that Rogan and DC are very good friends. like
Yeah,
really good friends. So it's
exactly.
becoming like a show. And the moment when you have other events, right? Because UFC has fights every Saturday,
Hmm.
every weekend UFC fights hoti hain. So when there is a Dominic Cruz or a Michael Bisping or other people of the commentary, or there are women sometimes who join in too, it's a better experience because Dominic Cruz is like a proper MMA nerd. He breaks things down and he does what you're supposed to do. I don't know what it is, but it's I understand we have to take questions क्योंकि नहीं तो ये तो end ही नहीं
हाँ,
होगा.
नहीं पर on
Uh,
commentary
Just
while
one
you
sentence. This is the problem of monopolies, by the way.
Yes, absolutely. And India, and before people say, because a lot of them people are like, oh, you're a snob, you don't like Hindi. No, I've listened to All India Radio, Suchil Doshi, Prakash Wakankar, brilliant Hindi commentary back in the heyday
yeah,
before the
Dude,
2000s.
how evocative that commentary used to be. The way they used to paint that picture, yeah, it was beautiful.
Exactly. I used to mute the DD Sports. तब तो cricket
In
DD Sports
fact,
पे आता था.
Harsha
आजकल
is
के
the
बच्चों को
first
पता नहीं होगा.
English commentator I heard on radio who I thought was good. Otherwise, it used to be Hindi commentary throughout.
Yeah, exactly. Him and Prakash Wakankar, those were the only two. And Prakash still does stuff for BBC because he's brilliantly good on All India Radio. So up to All India Radio में भी नहीं होती. So I used to mute the TV coverage and listen to All India Radio Hindi commentary. But अब तो क्या बेवकूफों की फौज है Hindi commentary.
seriously,
Anyways,
it's disgusting. Okay, let's start taking comments, questions. Nika fan here. क्या पता नहीं. As a MI fan, I want to say sorry, Sanju. We defended Sky's selection. He should not be trusted in any format for India. Give Sanju 4 years there. यार Sky को तुम T20 में तो रखोगे ना? What nonsense. Yeah, in other
no
formats I
T20.
understand.
No, I'm sorry. No, I've been clear about this from the start. That guy is worthy of playing at Wankhede against some IPL team. In an international tournament, even in T20, he regularly fails. Lets you down.
He
Forget
cannot
about this
play.
guy. He doesn't have the mental makeup
Kushal,
for international cricket. He cannot play for India again.
the
Forget about
only
him. Knock him out of
ground
the
he
game.
can, the only ground he can play apart from Wankhede is Eden Park because उसकी पीछे की boundaries भी 50 मीटर की है. So he can play those ramp shots behind the keeper.
इसका गेम ही नहीं है. इसका गेम ही नहीं है. इसको तो बंद करो यार.
And
Shut him
yesterday,
down.
you should have seen when Surya Kumar Yadav hit a boundary, Sanjay Manjrekar was
He was a
running out of
caricature
adjectives to
yesterday.
describe
He was
it.
a caricature yesterday.
But yeah, no, I
Okay.
agree with.
Okay. Next one. This Pat Cummins is some insane is some captain and player from toss decision to bowling strategy to each batsman to his own performance. Well done, solar panel Pat. Solar panel Pat is the name given to him by
I was telling you
great
about the
cricketer.
energy thing, right? So this is the thing. He was against consumption of oil. Listen, this is going to go on for a while, and I think this is one of those toss decisions that's going to be examined in its thoroughness for a long time. To me, it is the greatest positive toss decision I have ever seen in my life. I cannot think of another decision on a toss where I think the counterintuitive thing was done by the captain at the toss, and it was proved to be so thoroughly correct in every aspect of it. Look, if this was him winning the toss, India making 300, and then Australia winning because of dew, I would say you're a lucky call on the toss. But it wasn't that. It was the way they used the conditions first up when they were bowling. That's where the brilliance of this toss call lies. Yeah, they planned it, they knew they wanted it, and they knew what they were going to do with it. Just accept
and Pat Cummins, can I give some love to bowler captains? Well, we are too biased towards batter captains in cricket.
Boss, my respect for Pat
captains,
Cummins has increased so much after this
and
final.
if Bumrah can stay
fact,
fit, I think our captain after Rohit should be Bumrah.
Is more biased towards batting captains than Australia. Australia has never had a bowler captain. This is their first one.
Shane Warne, he was never made a captain.
But Warne had other issues. Warne was too colorful to be
but that's fine. But he was a brilliant tactical mind. I think
no doubt. I'm not disputing that. But they never even consider a bowler captain. This is the first guy they considered. And a part of that was the image makeover that Australian cricket needed because he is the cleanest of the lot. Like the best guy out there. I agree. Look at what he's produced for you. Yeah. It's not just him. It's Andrew McDonald. It's whatever thinking staff you have back there. They picked the bones out of the quality of decision making yesterday at the toss, man. That's just something else.
Superior sporting culture. Superior sporting culture.
That's it. Superior thinking first. Execution comes later, but first came superior thinking.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Next comment was Aussies came up with an actual plan to win the final, regardless of tournament history, while we were just riding on momentum and set a template. What do you guys think?
Oh, I agree. I said
Was
that playing Ashwin
Uh,
was going to be.
Listen, I understand what this point is, but I think that's a little bit of an oversimplification that we had no plan and sare tukke lag rahe the. I disagree with that, but it's fine.
No, I think you should return this guy's 200 rupees. He's hit the nail on the head. He deserves to be able to ask the question for free because he's hit the nail absolutely on the head. If you had a plan, Kushal, you had to take the tough choice of who you're going to play, Siraj or Ashwin. If you visualize in that manner, because I would assume the Indian think tank understands the Ahmedabad conditions at least as well as the Australian think tank, if not better, because you play a lot more there, right? You played IPLs there. You played India Pakistan there. You chose to field first in the India Pakistan game again. So you have to contemplate what if you end up batting first. Who do you want bowling under lights? So if we didn't make any changes, we didn't make any change of plan. So you suffer. You suffer for it. I think he's absolutely right. I do think but what you are correct about is very hard to change a template which has won 10 games in a row. What do you do?
Yeah. I
You
mean,
won 10
come
games.
on, yeah, and domination.
But we
Right.
also didn't
But
have a
if you
plan
do
in the
that,
between
if you
overs.
do that, then do not take a bowler like Mohammad Siraj and make him bowl in his weakest phase. Then don't do
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
That's bad
Right? So
strategy.
there's too much that went wrong yesterday, bro. We just have to accept
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
There's too
I
much in
agree.
here that went wrong.
Okay, this is another comment. All wickets were batsmen playing from the crease, similar to the World Test Championship. Aussies play on players' minds. Rohit, because of his ego to hit big. I don't agree at all with the Rohit comment. Iyer, with his fear of the short ball, I don't know, was on his toes before the ball came. Yaar, Iyer to itne सी balls में out हो गया. Anyways, I have just read the comment.
So I wouldn't say ego with Rohit. I think what happens with Rohit is the limit is 10 overs. You just having got 10 off the bowler, he's got more, like he's got the bowler in his hands right now. He can keep going against him and make it a really big over, make it like a 20-run over kind of thing. So, you get a worldly of a catch, what do you do? But he's absolutely right about Iyer. If you look at Iyer's footwork, he was totally camped on the back foot and not wanting to come forward at all. And he couldn't handle the length, little bit of nip away movement, and he was unlucky enough to nick it. Australia also had balls going past there and they didn't edge it. Yeah, happens sometimes.
Yeah, but yeah, Rohit ko kuch mat bolo yaar. He did such a good job. Would you consider ODI cricket as an entry to tests? I think Test match cricket is an entry to ODIs. I don't think ODI cricket is an entry to tests. In my
Really,
opinion.
I kind of understand the point to this, right? So if you didn't have this two white ball problem, just contemplate this for a moment. Rahul Dravid had to first play ODI cricket to become a test cricketer. Same with Ganguly, etc. You had to prove, because the ball used to do enough, right? And used to play enough good quality bowlers regularly, because teams didn't change, right? You didn't have two separate teams and all of that rubbish wasn't going on at that time. So that's how you sort of used ODI cricket as a blooding format, because at least in ODI cricket, whether you're a batsman or a bowler, what you get is the most important element that distinguishes cricket as a sport from any other sport, which is the element of time. You have to play for longer, right? And that's the test for being able to play ODI cricket or test cricket, in terms of handling international quality bowlers and international quality batsmen. Otherwise, the real test for the real preparation for test cricket is your 4-day cricket in your 5-day format domestically. But in terms of being able to handle the quality of bowling that you get with variety, right? Because in T20, you won't get that variation from a bowler. But in an ODI, if he's bowling you 3 overs, 4 overs, he's setting you up. He's showing you a lot more skill. So to that extent, I may perhaps agree with Dilip. And I have always, when I was growing up, regarded ODI as, if you can't play ODI and you can't bat well or bowl well in an ODI, you have no chance in a test match.
Okay, Adit, ye next one too le. Before winning the 2002 NatWest Series final, India had lost 9 consecutive finals, which included the 2000 Champions Trophy. We are the India traditional chokers. Adit?
Yes, we are. Yeah. No, I mean, no doubt about it. We are. And somehow this whole IPL happening every year, and everyone having their team to support in the IPL makes people forget, because then we are too excited about CSK or MI or some other people, winning, Gujarat Titans in my case winning the finals. हम लोग भूल
ये
जाते हैं
कमेंट है ना,
कि
ये कमेंट है ना, ये यूजर ने ऐसे खंजर लिया और इधर मार दिया सीधा।
नहीं नहीं मार दिया और फिर ट्विस्ट किया है हर हर कुछ, मतलब 2-3 नर्व्स भी काट दिए, बट या एब्सोल्युटली वी आर। और नेटफलिक्स फाइनल में भी वी वर अबाउट टू चोक ओनली। आई मीन इट टुक ए मोमेंट ऑफ ब्रिलियंस दैट ओनली हैपेंस वंस इन अ डेकेड और मोर, और इवन अ लॉन्गर फ्रेज बिटवीन युवराज एंड कैफ टू गेट अस वेयर वी डिड। So no, absolutely. Although I
Yeah.
will say in Team India's defense, usme Champions Trophy ki 2002 final, we should have won it twice because of ICC's stupidity. We ended up paying 120 overs over 2 days and still ended up
with
sharing
no
the
result.
trophy with Sri
With no
Lanka.
result.
Ha,
With no
with no
result.
result. So,
But also in that 9 finals, sometimes our team wasn't all that great. Yeah. So you're making the final, but you're playing a better team against.
matlab India ranged from
So you're
all
losing.
rounders.
Some of those finals are like Sharjah finals to South Africa. They were too good for you at that time as a team.
नहीं
Yeah.
एंड निखिल हमारे ऑलराउंडर्स भी कैसे थे, वैरायटी फ्रॉम रितिंदर सिंह सोधी to दिनेश मोंगिया and all sorts
All-rounder
of
नहीं थे. This was literally like, so you're absolutely right. There were journeyman cricketers, quality-wise journeyman cricketers who were like, जबरदस्ती एक all-rounder चाहिए, ले लो यार, एक ले लो.
हाँ ये बॉलिंग डालता है तो बैटिंग करता है तो ऑलराउंडर है हम लोग बोल रहे हैं। सो टू कोट संजय मांजरेकर, वी ट्रूली हैड बिट्स एंड पीसेस क्रिकेटर्स बैक इन द डे। कैन यू
That's
इमेजिन
absolutely
ऋषिकेश
right.
कनिटकर
You could
hit
combine
1-4?
all of those guys that you just named, and none of them is combined. They are not as good a bowler as Tendulkar was.
हाँ एग्जैक्टली, विच इज व्हाई वी प्रेज सचिन दैट वी डू, कि उसको बॉलिंग भी करनी पड़ती थी और बैटिंग भी करनी पड़ती थी। ऋषिकेश कनिटकर ने एक 4 मारा पाकिस्तान के अगेंस्ट और वो 25 वनडे खेला। I mean, he sucked in most games after that. But that one
ऑस्ट्रेलिया
score,
गया था यार, वो ऑस्ट्रेलिया
हाँ,
गया था। मेरे को तो दया आती थी, ब्रेटली बॉलिंग कर रहा, भाई तेरे को दिख भी नहीं रही है यार, तो क्या खेलेगा यार।
MS के प्रसाद।
ओह,
चलो
opening the innings in a test match for India, bro.
Kushal,
Against
kabhi
Bretley.
sorry, I'll tell our viewers this, and Nikhil and I have this wonderful clip मैं कभी share करूंगा talking about MSK Prasad's Bretley delivery। वो बॉल आया, स्टंप में घुस गया, उसके 2 सेकंड बाद उसका बैट नीचे आया, उसको पता ही नहीं चला क्या हुआ। He actually had no idea what happened. So, anyways, Kushal, yeah, we have
Okay.
ranted too long.
Yeah, next. It's simple, guys. Cummins read the conditions well and chose to bowl first.
Yes,
It got
yes.
easier to bat in the second innings after 10 overs. We were 60 runs short, the same 60 runs that Australia saved. Okay, fine. Fair enough. I think
They
we
saved
don't need
about
to...
40 and we
think
didn't
he
score the other
I think he
20.
tried to make it a nice mathematical equation so that everything fits together, but broadly the point is perhaps correct.
Yeah,
The first
I
sentence
think-
is spectacular. But the rest of it, he's trying to cookie cut an equation in there कि मैं सारा एक बार ना पूरा rounded आ जाए पूरी तरह 60-60 आ जाएगा
Okay. Yeah, I will answer this. How to process this loss? Why are Indians so mentally weak? Chickening out at big moments almost seems like we are genetically incapable to win big. Now, it might sound crazy, but last night, Nikhil and I had a long conversation, not about cricket. We were talking about many other
deep
things in general.
philosophical one, not exactly this.
Yeah, but it was exactly this. So, guys, here's the thing. I think this Indian team and India as a society, I'm very serious when I'm saying this, so I'm not mocking. I think we are a far stronger society mentally today than we were, let's say, post independence. But you have to understand that this is a society that still has an income of less than $3,000 USD. You are in a scarce society where risk taking is not possible even today for a giant swath of the country. In such a society, you have to be positive when you look at a team that does so well. Listen, the trend starts with Kapil Dev's team. Then match fixing was probably the most depressing time for our team. Saurav Ganguly comes and an absolute brilliant leader of men. He was not a captain, he was a leader of men. Then taken forward by Dhoni, Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma. I think it's not a big deal. I think India, you have to understand this at an anthropological and a psychological level, that the societies that win all the time, like Australia and all these societies, these are well established societies that have, they have that culture ingrained in you. And when you are in a rich society, like check the average income of Australia, when you as a child, you are growing up, right? you are encouraged to take risks. This is something, it has nothing to do with cricket. When Nikhil and I were having this conversation last night about, the East and the West and many other things. And that's something I told Nikhil that, like, now I have a unique perspective. Why? Because I stay 7 months in India, 5 months I'm in America. Adit has also lived a major chunk of his life in America, and he has lived in India too. Adit is a boy who was born and raised in Ahmedabad, so he's also an Indian product. Nikhil has spent time in New York as a lawyer, and Nikhil has lived also. These are different societies. You have to understand, when you have that kind of income, I'm not making excuses, so please don't get me wrong. We've spent a lot of time being critical of many things, but cut these people some slack. They are products of our society. Yeah, I'll give you my example. I was a decent drummer. I could not dare to be a drummer at the age of 16, 17. I was like, sala paise kaise banaunga? And I dropped that idea. It's a societal thing, so don't worry, it's just a sport. So
No, no,
I
Kushal.
think I wanted to
I have
answer.
to add something to it. And because I mean, I've spent almost half my life here now, but I've spent 18 and a half years in India, right? You should go around and ask. And we all know people who were taking up some sort of sport or some sort of thing at 15 or 16 or something like that. How many of them have been told कि बेटा 10th के बाद अब चला science या commerce ले ले,
Oh
sports
my
तो नहीं
goodness,
होगा.
Nikhil, you remember मैंने
इसका
तुझे बोला था कुंबले और श्रीनाथ का एग्जाम्पल कल रात को.
इसका फ्यूचर नहीं होने वाला है. एंड आई गारंटी यू हैव एटलीस्ट 5 people in your family friend circle who have been told that by their parents and stuff. I can go around similarly and go around in US and stuff. Indian communities में ऐसा examples US में मिल जाएंगे, but I will not find the same communities in, say, in the American communities, in the African American or the white American communities. You will not find that.
I can guarantee you, Adit, once India reaches a $10,000, $12,000 income society level, na,
Correct.
this will be a different, mentally different
It
society.
is. Also
I can
Olympic
guarantee you.
medals. 25 Olympic medal
Okay,
आएंगे ना,
so
pedigree
let me
अलग
give you a
होगी.
counterfactual to that, Kushal. Why can't the English compete with the Aussies?
I mean, they compete when it's in England. They just capitulate when they're in Australia.
No, but historically, yeah. Why can't if per capita was a factor, which is a decisive factor, why can't the
It's
English
one.
compete
I'm not saying
with
it's
the
the only factor. It's one
But
of the
Nikhil,
factors.
you're talking.
I
No.
agree.
But see,
I agree. I'm saying it's an important factor, right? Like all I'm trying to say is England kind of negates the argument that per capita matters, because if there is a wet napkin mentality in all of world cricket, okay, if there is a wet napkin in all of world cricket, it was those buggers. In 2015, we are going to completely reorient our cricket. So what they admitted, therefore, tacitly was everything that came before this was shit. We have to completely redo everything and play like what? Play like the way Australians normally do anyway, right? What was Hayden, Gilchrist, and Ponting doing? They were basically throughout their careers, every time the ball could be attacked, they'd attack. It didn't matter if it was Test cricket, if it was white ball cricket, they would attack. So the English decided this is what they're taking on, and now they're giving it even fancy names like baseball and whatnot, right? So all I'm saying is that perhaps that doesn't work.
And honestly, this mental strength thing also is, you have to consider that even a culture like New Zealand, which is a high income society, they also don't make it beyond the semis, right? We don't call them chokers. Why do we call
Bro,
India
50
chokers?
lakh लोगों में तो सेमीफाइनल पहुंच रहा है, तेरे तो मैं पैर छूने को तैयार हूं यार. 50 lakh people in that country.
यार तो क्या ऑस्ट्रेलिया में 2.3 करोड़ लोग
50
हैं यार.
लाख लोग दिल्ली के गंदे कोने में होते हैं यार.
It's not how many you
They
have.
dominate rugby, they dominate cricket. They are present in world sport. In football,
अरे boss, they get
अरे भाई
नहीं,
budgets
and they
होते हैं
get
यार.
Olympics.
क्या comparison
Olympics
कर
में
रहे हो?
देखो Australian
I agree,
swimming
that
and
is
stuff.
I agree.
Budgets होते हैं.
Budgeting is
मतलब
an
please
issue.
ऐसे यार, मतलब निखिल, come on, let's get real. क्या पैसे मिलते हैं इंडिया में?
इंडियन क्रिकेट का पिछले 12 साल से क्या बजट है ब्रदर?
है ना, इसीलिए तो इंडियन क्रिकेट से उम्मीद होती है.
Yeah,
इसीलिए
so
इंडियन क्रिकेट
let's I just do it because I'm going to get a call in about a couple of minutes. So I'm just going to end this with this. All this negativity about one day apart, superlative team, the general trend of Indian cricket, I'm not worried about that. And the level of performance that they showed us for 10 matches in this tournament, oof. I have never seen any team dominate a tournament like the way we dominated this tournament. And we perhaps got a few things wrong on the last day. We shouldn't have got them wrong. And even if we did get them wrong initially, we should have been good enough to adjust. We didn't make all those adjustments. Whatever it is, we lost the final. That may be it. But on the overall quality of cricket that Indian cricket is producing, we should be completely proud of this fact. It's
Yes, I
outstanding.
agree with you. I agree with you. ठीक है, तू अभी जा, and it was a
Take care,
pleasure
boys.
to have you on the
Pleasure as
podcast.
always.
Absolutely.
I'll catch up with you later. Chal, take care.
नहीं,
Okay,
but
Aadit.
it was our
next
tournament
month-
to lose. हाँ, next one ले लेते.
Why not blame the 12th man, Ahmedabad crowd? बोल बे अहमदाबादी, बोल.
So no, 12th man is an interesting scenario. One of the analogy of the 12th man actually comes from a university very close to where I am, Texas A&M University. Unka crowd is actually called the 12th man. And you know the way first of all, dekho, I agree that the crowd should have probably revved up Team India more while we were bowling. But when you are batting and Kohli and Rahul are crawling around, what is the crowd supposed to do? Are they supposed to like start clapping and say chauka maro, chakka maro? Like what is, you know, there is also that so I agree that, but this was not just an Ahmedabad crowd. This was a crowd, an Indian crowd, because so many
अरे
people
इसमें मुंबई से
traveled
कम से कम 5-7 हजार लोग होंगे यार.
I know so many people who went from Delhi, Mumbai, and then the thing is, a lot. What Nikhil said also matters. A lot of these, you know, fancy celebrities. So I know a lot of elites from Ahmedabad.
हर मैच में होता है.
नहीं.
मुंबई में फाइनल रखेगा.
नहीं, मैं दूसरा बोल रहा हूँ. नहीं, मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि वो लोग कूद करके आवाज करने वाले जो रेगुलर क्रिकेट फैन विल डू, right? They are not going to do. So ये होने ही वाला है. But what I don't agree with is this rubbish that, oh, we should cricket is a sporting game and stuff, we should do it. A couple of idiots were saying this, and on unke bio pe likha tha proud Arsenal supporter, proud Man United supporter. I would like to say, when Arsenal and Tottenham Hotspur are playing a game in London and Tottenham scores a game, are the Arsenal's fan going to be like, "Arey wah, Tottenham kya goal mara hai aapne, kya goal mara hai?"
Boss जब मैं तेरे को, I'll tell you the base level. Canada plays America, Olympic ice hockey gold match. You think the Canadians are going to freaking cheer the Americans on? What nonsense are we talking about, man? Human beings are tribal. Like, what nonsense are people talking about? This is just, you know, trying to overanalyze shit for the heck of it.
When India was 2 for 3 in Australia, against Australia in Chennai, the whole crowd was silent. Stunned silence when India was 2 for 3.
Do you think they were cheering the Indian team when they beat us? They lost in the Gabba?
No,
they were not. What nonsense!
और ऑस्ट्रेलिया और इंग्लैंड के क्राउड में आपको cheering आवाज इसीलिए आती है because there are so many Indians around the world. We go there and we cheer.
What nonsense, man! What shit are people talking about?
The only criticism of BCCI, which is legitimate, is the ticket processing was not transparent. They should have let more people come in. That we agree with you. कि 5-7 हजार Australians को भी आना चाहिए था.
The rest of it is bollocks.
मोदी जी को बोलना, मोदी जी should have told the Australian deputy PM कि मैं आपको 2 प्लेन भेज रहा हूँ, 2 प्लेन भर के ऑस्ट्रेलियंस लाइए और क्राउड में भरिए. Maybe that could have been done.
अभी एक और. Always Australia was the better team. Period. I hope this ends slow spitting pitch nonsense.
Cobra.
India cannot play spin. Mangalore lack पता नहीं some MANG क्या है?
Richard के came as Rahush है. अरे
yeah, I mean, I don't care यार. What nonsense. Ahmedabad crowd has to come a long way to be the level of the Mumbai crowd. I don't know what is the qualifying criteria.
First of all, I love Wankhede crowds. They are absolutely brilliant. बहुत अच्छा, but also don't forget that 2006 में सचिन तेंदुलकर को मुंबई क्राउड ने बू किया था. Endulkar against England in a test match. So people think that हम लोग तो मतलब 2019 के बाद ही क्रिकेट देखना शुरू नहीं भाई. I've been watching cricket for a long time, right? And Indian crowds have always been passionate. Unfortunately, it so happens कि India में culture ऐसा है कि when Indian team is not doing, see this whole cheering the team on and when you're down and out and crowd jumping. मैं यहाँ पे देखता हूँ ना Texans की game या मेरे Houston Cougars की game, the crowd goes silent when you're not doing well. Then when you show signs of a fight, people jump up, and now that is just a natural reaction. So you can have quibs with it, but it's okay. It's a game, man. It
Yeah,
happens.
where you could say the Mumbai crowd or a Chennai crowd understands the finer nuances of the game and tends to cheer things that other crowds may not at times. But that because they have the advantage of having a dominant cricket culture for
No,
way
no, I
more
tell you,
years.
Mumbai and Chennai have better test crowds than Ahmedabad. I agree.
Yeah,
But that does not
but look,
mean ki-
but now look at the 5 venues for the test matches against England. BCCI wants to destroy the sport, man. They want to destroy test cricket. They want to destroy ODI cricket, and they just want T20 cricket. It's very clear.
exactly.
It is what it
Exactly.
is. It is what it is. I mean, you and I are irrelevant. What was the Travis Hedge catch controversy? There was no catch controversy. I don't know what he's talking
Oh,
about.
I
I
didn't
don't know.
see.
I mean, I have not. What I have analyzed with respect to the World Cup 75 to 23 is that the team with the most number of batting all rounders wins it. But why we always cling on to specialists? I don't know. Australia, do they have that? No. They've won the maximum number of World Cups. So, again, I don't agree. Why is BCCI tax free? Impose 50% tax, the center of money laundering of sports in India.
That is a no.
Calm
That is an
down.
important question. कि BCCI को क्यों है? But I always say that BCCI में the issues aren't just at the top. State levels भी is controlled fully by political forces.
तुमको आइडिया नहीं है क्या क्या झोल होते हैं इसमें. We forget that Dhoni's era where we won 3 trophies is an anomaly and not the norm. It took us 28 years to win our second 50 over World Cup. It won't be surprising that the same time is taken again.
हाँ,
Let's see. We
let's
never know.
see.
I think
But
India
see
is
again.
overall much more dominant cricketing
No,
nation
no, but I
now.
want to ask something. Kushal, a lot of people talk about conflict of interest. Na? So why don't they look up? And I think Dhoni was one of the best captains ever played for India. Loved watching him bat and bowl and stuff. But when he was the captain of India, he was also the captain of CSK, obviously, which is fine. But he was also the vice president of India Cements, which owned CSK. And N. Srinivasan had the owner of CSK and India Cements had a position in the board as a secretary or something.
Mhm.
Isn't that not conflict of interest? Should Dhoni
Absolutely.
अभी जो lack of questioning है ना वो शुरू तब से हुआ है in 2010-11 when you did not question MS Dhoni on why he was with India because oh my god, how can you question Thala? So then this is what happens when you stop asking basic questions. Was Sachin Tendulkar when he was playing for India the vice president of some corporate company that owned a team? No, absolutely not. So this is silly. Anyways,
So somebody has asked me to do a podcast with Nikhil on the reservation policy of Bihar. भाई यहाँ पे क्यों पूछ रहे हो sports की podcast पे ये questions? Okay.
नहीं हम लोग बोल सकते हैं ना इंडिया टीम में there is no caste based reservation. Everybody is fully picked on their
Oh my
merit.
God.
शुरू करना है
I
वो
mean,
बात.
no, please, let's not. With 27 World Cup in South Africa,
Oh.
considering seam and bows, should we start focusing on finding a good leggy along with left arm fast bowler and fast? Look, Kuldeep Yadav is a wrist spinner. Why not Kuldeep Yadav? He's your
And
good.
Yuzi is there. Yuzi Chahal is a good
You-
leggy.
No, but he's not playing in that World Cup. ये नहीं खेला तो वो क्या खेलेगा? And fast bowling, batting all rounder, boss. You have Hardik Pandya. You are forgetting he got injured. He got injured, man. What are you gonna do? But we don't have after Hardik Pandya. We have no one. Yes, India should try to build more all rounders.
And I want to say Hardik should be the captain of the next World Cup, but I don't know if he's going to be fit enough to play one day cricket.
Yeah,
to be
that's
honest,
the
for
thing.
4 more years.
Somebody
Neither is
has
Jasprit
made a
Bumrah.
Somebody said Modi and Shah consoled the team in the dressing room. Good for them
Good.
and good for
Good
Mr.
if
Modi
Mr.
and
Modi
Shah.
went and Amit Shah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, apparently there was a photo shared by Shami, and then there was a photo of Mr. Modi holding the hands of Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli and consoling them. Good. I like the idea that our Prime Minister consoled the team. I think the team is fantastic, and I'm proud of Team India, even after them
Absolutely.
losing the final. I am nothing but proud of Team India.
They're
I am
bloody
so
champions.
proud of this.
And
They
we
are
need to
champions.
applaud them for that.
Yeah, we need to applaud them. Yes, I want to applaud the Indian team. They are absolute champions. I don't know what else are
But
we
what
supposed to say.
हाँ मुझे तो नहीं लगता था विराट कोहली भी खेल पाएगा but he may play. The most bizarre statistic about Indian cricket that I find so funny, Piyush Chawla is younger than Virat Kohli.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane.
देख के कभी लगता नहीं है but the fact is
It's a tribute to the fitness of Virat Kohli. What a professional. What a thorough professional. There's one more comment. Ye air show, PM, celebrities and making it huge like it's a doomsday. Did that add extra pressure?
नहीं
Listen.
यार.
I mean, let's get real, yeah. I mean, why don't you want it to be a grand scale? Would you have thought of any of this if India would have won? Think like this.
2011 India versus Pakistan. That was the first match semi-final we were playing after 26/11. That added animosity. There was we had stopped playing bilateral cricket with them. The Prime Minister Yusuf Raza Gilani was invited with Prime Minister Manmohan Singh in the stadium in Mohali. There was some Pakistani supporters, Pakistani fans were invited from across the border. Did it add pressure on the Indian team? Nahi hota yaar. This is a part of the game. That's what they sign up for.
Yeah.
And so, no, if you tell me there is any more pressure in any other cricketer than what was on Sachin Tendulkar when you watched matches in the 90s and 2000s, I have
Yeah.
a bridge to sell you, man. It was
Yeah.
unbelievable. Unbelievable.
So, so there is one more question on Fanmo, Adit. Should
Hmm.
higher standards be set for Team India as well? Like Australian fans would never justify their loss by saying law of averages or just had a bad day. I don't think. Yeah, Indian fans are decent. I don't know what.
Very decent. And you never
And
judge
you
the
think
reactions.
ऑस्ट्रेलिया में रैंडम लोग ट्विटर पे गालियां नहीं देते हैं?
And you never judge the reaction of a team by what the fans are saying 24 hours after the loss. Abhi the emotions are
Yes.
raw. और आपको अगर टॉक्सिक फैन एनवायरनमेंट देखना है तो इंग्लिश फैंस का फुटबॉल पे देखो. स्वीडन के सामने जीते थे तो few idiots went and ransacked IKEA stores in England, and then when they lost, fans had another moment of complete ranting. So
What
hota
about
hai.
Moroccans? What about Moroccans? They
हाँ,
riot when they lose,
exactly.
they riot when they win. I mean, what the hell, man?
So यहाँ पे अमेरिका में there are teams like that. There are cities where there is a tradition to take out the lamp posts. तो उसकी city आके oiling कर देती है कि the fans गुस्से में या खुशी में आके lamp post उखाड़ देंगे. So they put oil so that you cannot this. So
वही तो मैं कह रहा हूँ ना. People have no idea about hooliganism across the world.
yeah, I would like for you all to come and watch an NFL game with me in a stadium where you are the away team. Then
Boss,
you'll know what
every UFC
atmosphere is.
pay-per-view, every UFC pay-per-view,
Yeah.
you have some sort of a crowd fight.
Uh,
Boxing pay-per-views, you have crowd fights. What the hell are we talking about?
yeah,
What is wrong with people? What kind
Astros
of unscientific nonsense is this?
एस्ट्रोस रेंजर्स या एस्ट्रोस यांकीज की गेम में जाऊंगा. मैं कुशल को लेके जाऊंगा अगर नेक्स्ट ईयर वो अमेरिका आए तो मैं वो
Bro, we
देखेगा
are going to the World Cup together. We are
हाँ
going
तो
to the World Cup together.
एग्जैक्टली सो तब देखेंगे. बट दिस इज इट गेट्स प्रीटी मैड.
Yeah,
बट
I mean,
एनीवेज
yeah. So, but we've taken all the questions. Thank you very much to everyone for asking all the questions. Very intelligent observations and questions today. I have to say, I take a lot of pride in the viewership base of the Cārvāka podcast. So, really एवरेज से ज्यादा हाई आईक्यू क्राउड होता है यहाँ पे जो आता है. So kudos to all the questions. We don't get shit questions. So before I make my closing comments, I want to hand it back to Aadit before we wrap it up. Aadit, anything else you want to add?
Nothing else. Just a last comment on the stories of the World Cup. We didn't get to fully talk about Afghanistan, the emergence of Afghanistan cricket, and its absolute
Beautiful.
brilliance. Netherlands cricket winning 2 games, running Sri Lanka very close, and stepping up from what they did in the 2022 T20 World Cup where they beat South Africa. Great for Netherlands cricket. And they are developing local players and stuff. So it's good that in the next T20 World Cup where there'll be 20 teams and the next ODI World Cup where there'll be 14 teams, I think both of those teams should be playing. Scotland, Ireland, and Zimbabwe are waiting in the wings. So I think cricket has a great future. Second, I see a lot of memes saying, oh, ye World Cup mein to sirf 10 countries khel rahi hai. Again, Indians have this amazing habit of self-flagellation that, the thing we are good at and the thing that is the second most popular sport in the world, we'll go and shit on ourselves. Don't. There is a qualifying process and stuff, and maybe the ICC has to have more team, but 20 teams are playing next year's T20 World Cup. That is the most ever that has played the team of cricket. The first World Cup was started with 7.5 teams, 7 teams and an East Africa team, which was a combination of basically Gujaratis playing in and African and Zimbabweans playing in all those East African, Uganda and Zaire. And this is not my words. Chris Shrikant has said this on the East Africa. So from there, for cricket to come where it did to 20 teams, and now you're said the T20 World Cup will always be 20 teams. It is a brilliant step forward. I think the sky's the limit. And unfortunately or fortunately, it'll start from T20 cricket, but we just hope that interest also peaks into Test cricket and we preserve preserve some sort of one day cricket and make it relevant, where you're not just playing random bilaterals. But I think one day cricket should have qualifiers like FIFA does, where all the teams play the qualifiers and you qualify for the World Cup. And that's what will make ODI cricket more interesting.
Yeah, because next year barely any ODI cricket is happening, and Pakistan is not even playing ODI cricket next year.
Huh, but their fans also say they shouldn't play any ODI cricket. So, oh, by the way, Babar Azam is no longer the captain, so that is also
Yeah, I
there.
know.
So, wo hum random cricket follow up mein we'll
नहीं वो
talk about it.
नहीं next month when we have to cover the because before people think अरे भाई World Cup खत्म हो गया podcast नहीं खत्म हुई है, we'll be back next
हाँ.
month because Pakistan is touring Australia and we'll be covering
Oh,
that tour.
and
And
Australia is touring India right now with 5 T20s.
oh yeah, so we have a lot of cricket goes on, and we're gonna be covering the cricket every month like we always
That's right.
do, and then in January England is coming to India for the 5 Test match series, and a lot of great cricket is lined up for next year, and then we have the T20 World Cup, and then Adit's favorite tournament and my bane of my existence, the IPL. Is also coming up, so we have a lot of things to talk about. So the cricket podcast is not going away anywhere. Before I wrap it up, I once again want
One
to
thing
take
to
this
add, you
opportunity.
forgot the big one, Kushal. India is touring South Africa for
Yes,
test
again,
matches, and England.
yes,
So 7 test matches to look forward to, guys. Two
yeah,
in
a
South
lot
Africa
of
and 5 in India.
yeah,
Sorry, didn't
yeah.
mean to cut you short, but I just wanted to
Yeah,
add that.
so a lot of cricket is lined up. So this is not the last podcast. We're going to be back next month. We're going to be doing this regularly. And in fact, when we started this, talking to each other 2 years ago, we did not think that this podcast would sustain itself, but it has, and it is all thanks to you, the viewers, the listeners on the audio platform who have consistently supported the cricket podcast. We get decent numbers now. I don't want to take names, way more numbers than a lot of established cricket journalists who are on YouTube. I don't want to take names because I like a lot of them, but I want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you who listens to this podcast. But before I wrap
Thank
it up, can I just say this? I know we lost the World Cup final, and I know Australia was better on the day. We spent the whole podcast, dissecting, criticizing. But can I just say thank you to Team India? As an Indian cricket fan, as an admirer of the sport of ODI cricket, can I just take this opportunity to thank the Indian cricket team? I felt terrible looking at Siraj crying, Rohit crying, and a lot of these players. These players work their ass off. And yes, sometimes they turn up short. But this Indian cricket team has given me so much happiness, and this World Cup has given me so much joy that I know it ended up in a wrong way. Listen, I mean, people who listen to me, you guys know I'm not a nationalist or a patriot. I don't feel those emotions like maybe a lot of you do, but I still love the game of cricket, and I still would want Team India to win. But I still want to take this opportunity on behalf of each and every listener, and Adit and Nikhil, everyone. I want to thank Team India. I want to thank Captain Rohit Sharma. I want to thank each and every player, whether they played or did not play in the playing 11. We want to thank you for all the entertainment, all the fantastic memories, those amazing bowling spells of Shami, Virat's innings, Rohit's innings, Shreyas's innings, every single moment. We want to thank you all. And before we wrap it up, I had a great time with Aadit talking cricket. I'm not gonna change this. Yes, Nikhil also pops in once in a while, and it's always fun to have Nikhil on the podcast too. And we try to experiment. We try, we are not connected. I mean, maybe because of the podcast I know a few people, but I still make it a point that Adit and I, we take a lot of pride that we criticize BCCI because we don't want any connections with the BCCI. We don't want any favors from the BCCI. We try to make it as honest as possible. Are we the best technical analysts in cricket? No, we're not, but we try our best to put forward the best podcast that we um, could. And it's been a fun journey. This podcast would not be anything without the support of its members. So if you can, please support this podcast by joining the membership program, whether it's on Fanmo or on YouTube or on Patreon. You can also buy the Cārvāka podcast merchandise if you are there. Go to kushalmehra.com or Kadak Merch. You can send your donations to UPI. Also, go and follow Aadit and Nikhil on X. formerly known as Twitter. You can also subscribe to the Mind Makers YouTube channel. And if you can't do any of this, the least you can do is subscribe to the Cārvāka podcast YouTube channel, like this video, leave your comments in the comment section. If you're an audio listener, I really want to thank you guys. Your ratings have also helped the rankings of the podcast to stay in a decent scale in the rankings in the news and politics genre, which is my genre where I select my podcast to be rated on. And we'll end that podcast on this note. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys next time. Until then,
The
take
boys
care.
played
Bye-bye.
well, guys. We'll end with that.
Yes,
The boys played well.
yes, boys played well.